me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy, I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your choice is seminal. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. Just speak low, stand in your row, try not to show this life's a show. Try not to glow way down below. Oh, it's a lot of woe, and that's not a place where you would like to go. I've got cigarettes and brandy, which could come in handy if you just help me loosen up my hand grenades fuse. Baby, don't refuse my truth, but it's up to you now to choose. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true, 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 true,
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everyone? So, yes, I checked. I confirmed Rhonda is correct. There is no court today. I don't know what's happened. I'm not sure why. Let me see if I can find out. That's number one. But don't worry about that because we left off early yesterday and I wanted to address that really quickly. I apologize for the abruptness. I'm fine. Everything's fine. I just I got a call and I'm going to leave it there, but everybody is fine. Um, my little Chicky Nuggy Pot Pie Esquire went to her pulmonologist appointment yesterday. She did great. We don't have any results yet. She had a CAT scan on her lungs. She was a, I she came she came over last night, and that's why I didn't go live. But she told me all about it. She told me that she was very nervous about the CAT scan. She called it the machine. She, you know what everybody knows what a CAT scan looks like. She was fine on the little table they put you on before they scooch you into the CAT scan. She was all good. And then she says to me, Granny, they turned it on and it was loud, so loud. And then I got scared. So bless her little heart. But yeah. So, excuse me. Yeah, Kelly Renee, I had, you know, well, let me just start. Let me just finish my thought. Anyway, so that's what happens. So, but Livy is 4. Her birthday is the day after mine. And I'm telling you guys, I really my daughter went into labor on my birthday, and I'm telling you, that lunatic no, I love her, but she will even admit it. She held that baby in so that we would not share the same birthday. They did have the little earplugs. They had all the things for her, but, she's 4, and, she's not a fan of anything that's loud. She's like, um she's just not just loud noises, or it's not even like a loud abrupt noises. It's that too, but it's um like if I have if she's over here and I'm like cleaning or something and I have like Pandora on or whatever and I have it past. I cannot have the speaker bar past like 5, okay? Because it's too loud. So, but everybody is fine. Also, I wanted to show you guys this. I made this yesterday and I kept trying to upload it during the live and it wouldn't let me. I don't know why sometimes the it's like the communications, it always says you can't parse the server. I mean, I know what that means, but it is what it is. She got a lollipop, she got stickers, she had to have her blood drawn yesterday, which she also told me she was not a fan of, and, but the good thing is she didn't have to be sedated, and that is a plus. So, because anytime they have to be sedated, it's not, it's worrisome. So she's fine. I'm fine. We're all fine. Now, I made this yesterday, and this is what I wanted to show you guys whenever. This is what Buchanan should have said to Proctor when he sent those messages. Are we ready? Let's do it.
No, you shut up! Don't talk to me! Don't talk to me, criminal!
That's what he should have said. But he didn't. So, this is what we're going to do today. We are going to talk about the Sallyport shenanigans that occurred yesterday. I watched last night. I went, and by the way, I have an update about that too. Last night, I watched Duty Ron and Ed Wallace because here's the thing. I appreciate the way that they explain investigations from a law enforcement from former law enforcement perspective, um, because what we as lay people might interpret as that sounds shady AF. They might have a perfectly rational explanation for that's not shady AF, or as Jen McCabe says, nefarious. Okay. Nefarious. They might not see it that way. And so I like to get their perspective. I really do. And they did a great show last night, all about the Sallyport and the shenanigans of the Sallyport. So, and we missed that yesterday. So we're just going to go over yesterday afternoon's um, testimony, since we don't have, but I am going to see if there is some type of explanation. All it says on Law and Crime is live, just in, no Karen Reed court today. And of course, their pinned message has to do with Morgan and Morgan. And I mean, I wonder why it's canceled. Hold on a second. Let me read this. All right, let me check Court TV and see what Court TV has to say. Sometimes they're because they're live. Hold on a second. Hold on, you guys. Give me just a second. I'm sorry. I have a text from my daughter, and I need to answer her. Okay. All right. Oh, our little fact, our little fact totem. Tess has it for us, so let's see what's going on. Give me just a second. All right. All it says is, thank you, Tess, by the way, babe. I appreciate that. Please be advised that the trial in Commonwealth versus Karen Reed is not taking place today due to unavoidable circumstances. So that's what's going on. Hold on a minute. She's still texting me. I'm so sorry, you guys. Hold on a minute. Okay. That's really sad. I wonder what's going on. Because when somebody says unavoidable circumstances, like that is not a good omen. All right. And there's a couple things I wanted to say. Okay. Tosh says, I freaking love Duty Ron. He's amazing and has been breaking this down so well. Remember how I told you guys I was in another chat and I couldn't see Duty Ron? Well, I guess it was just a glitch because you can check to see if you're blocked in a channel by going to the channel, putting something in the chat, okay, and switching from live commentary to top messages. If you're in the live, if you're in the top message, you can if you switch back and forth, you'll see if your message is posting. Also, I checked by being on, I put it on the TV and I could see my own chat. So I think that it was just a glitch in the matrix, and I think it's fine. Hold on a second. Bless her little heart. All right. So let's go back to, let's see. Let's find yesterday's trial. And watch it. Let me see, just 1 second, you guys. I'm sorry. I am not as good at doing 5 things at once as our Tess is because I'm like all discombobulated. I'm, confused. I've got issues. I'll change the title really quickly. Also, I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to check out. I made a video about the shoe situation, and I leave it up to you guys' interpretation. I mean, of course, I had to put some stuff in there because it was like there were parts of it that were just like ridiculous to me, but I didn't actually give an opinion because I already gave an opinion when we streamed the trial. I really am not interested in my opinion. I know what my opinion is. It doesn't look like the same freaking shoe to me. That's my opinion. But I'm more interested. I know what mine is. I'm more interested in hearing what you guys think. So if you give me a minute, I will put that I'll put that in. Hold on a second. So we'll go back to the after lunch, because after lunch was something else. All right. So let me share the screen, and I'll change the title as we get into the stream. I cannot do things like Tess. I cannot do 11 billion things at once. I can't even do 2 things at once. All right. So let me start this now. I'm going to start this, and then I'm going to change the title. Okay. So give me just a second. Here we go. Oh, wait. It would probably be helpful if I had the sound on. All right.
Please be seated. Court is in session.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a matter of housekeeping, I would ask that GG for identification be moved to the
Yes.
May I inquire? I'm so sorry. I did it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Just before the lunch break, Sergeant, I asked whether you had engaged in a discussion with the Commonwealth at a prior proceeding in which you were shown a video and you talked about the fairness and accuracy of that particular video in the Sallyport when the SUV was first pulled in. And you indicated that you did indicate that it was fair and accurate, correct?
Yes, back then, yes. Yeah.
I want to play a copy, a bit of that video, if I could, please, with the court's permission.
Okay, is it in evidence?
It is not. I would ask that we mark as next in order. Thumb drive.
Were we marking this for identification, or is there an agreement it's going into evidence?
I'd like it into evidence.
We agree with the stipulation that it's authentic.
I'm not going to argue metadata issues or authenticity issues. So,
All right, so is there a stipulation that this is authentic? Okay, so folks, again, a stipulation means the parties agree, and with that, I will allow this into evidence as the next exhibit. Madam Court Reporter?
Mr. Jackson, is this it?
that's it.
Exhibit 118?
Okay, now you may display it.
Thank you. Okay. Could we play beginning? What's the runtime, Mr. Wolk?
537:03.
This is at 5:37:03. If we could just play this forward for a couple of seconds. A little bit further. Pause. Do you see what's depicted in this video?
Yes, I do.
This is the video that you were shown at a prior proceeding, correct?
Yes, it is.
Does this appear to be the interior of the Sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes, it is.
And this is what you were questioned about regarding the SUV being pulled into the Sallyport, correct?
Yes.
From a time frame standpoint, just the time frame, this is right after the SUV has been driven in from the flatbed after having been seized in Dighton, correct?
Yes, it was driven off of the flatbed after transportation from Dighton to Canton PD and driven into the Sallyport.
All right. You previously have identified individuals in this video, in this still shot, correct?
Yes.
And what you previously said, and we'll get to subsequent testimony in a second, you previously indicated that the person to the right was you, person to the left Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes, previously I identified that being Michael Proctor. I was mistaken. That is not me on the right.
That would be the tow truck driver, correct?
That's correct.
All right, let's start there. Okay. How do you misidentify yourself? How does that even happen? I mean, these are legitimate questions. I do not understand this. Okay. I do not understand how a person misidentifies themselves. Okay. I just don't get it. I'll probably never get it.
That is, in fact, Michael Proctor, however, in the two-tone jacket, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And as the video is portrayed, at least as we're looking at it, and I'll get to the next question next, as we're looking at it, it appears that we're looking at the right passenger side of the vehicle, as it appears in this video, correct?
That's correct.
And you see a timestamp and a date stamp on the bottom, correct?
It is present. I don't know what it says.
Okay, can we highlight that just a little bit? Can you see what that says?
I believe it says interior, Sallyport, back wall.
Okay.
537, maybe.
Okay. When you indicated that this was a fair and accurate depiction of the interior Sallyport when the SUV was brought in, you were specifically asked whether or not you or Michael Proctor approached or manipulated or touched the right rear taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
I don't remember the exact verbiage used, but in something along those lines, that's what was asked.
And you indicated that neither of you did, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But in point of fact, this video is backward, correct?
Yes, it is a mirror image of what is actually taking place as recorded by the camera.
Can we play this forward?
Yes.
Do you see where Mr. Proctor, let's go ahead and pause it. Do you see where Mr. Proctor went?
Yes, the video depicts him going to that portion of the vehicle, but we can't tell how close he is.
Okay. And the back, from all appearances, importantly, it appears to be the back driver's side, the back left of the vehicle, correct?
That's the way it appears, yes.
Great. Let's play this forward for a second. Pause. Can I ask you to pay special note to the far rear side of the vehicle? Do you see what appears to be Mr. Proctor's head?
Yes.
As the tow truck driver walks past the rear of the vehicle, can you watch and tell me if you see Mr. Proctor do anything or move in any way? Let's go ahead and play it forward. Pause. Did you see any volitional movement by Mr. Proctor as the tow truck driver moved past him?
Yes, it appears if that is his head, it shifted weight.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it forward. Stop. Did you see a person that appeared to morph toward the back of the vehicle? Right there.
There is some anomaly there with the footage, so it could possibly be used to describe that what took place.
Can you recognize that person?
I cannot know.
You indicated previously, does that person look large or small in stature?
I can't tell.
As compared to, for instance, Michael Proctor, whose head you can see above the car. What about this person? Taller, shorter than Michael Proctor?
I can't tell from here. I can't.
You indicated that Chief Berkowitz was a smaller statured person, correct?
I never said that.
Okay. I want to talk about this, the way that Alan Jackson describes it as this person seems to morph. One of the things that was being discussed last night in Duty Ron's chat and by Duty Ron and Ed Wallace was, could these cameras be motion activated? And Ed said, yes, in that case, it does happen where somebody just seems to appear. However, my question would be this. If they are motion activated, there's already people in the Sallyport creating motion. They're moving. So why would the why would a third party coming in create a different motion? Does that make sense? That's my question. All right, let's keep going.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know his height.
Larger or smaller? Generally. How about this? Larger or smaller than you?
He's shorter than me.
Okay. Can you tell whether or not that is Chief Berkowitz?
I cannot know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it for him. And a little bit further. Pause. What does it appear that Mr. Proctor does at this point in the video?
He's walking.
Okay, do you see anything in his hand?
I cannot tell from the video, but he might be carrying something.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio. Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward. Okay, and did it appear that somebody just appeared at the front right, the right-hand side of the screen toward the front of the SUV as well?
Yes, it appears that way, yes.
Okay.
Now, back to my other question, okay? The only way to know not the only way. Let me start over again. Let me get my thoughts together. One way that you might be able to tell if the camera is motion activated would be to watch the timestamps. If the timestamp is continuing to run, constantly counting, then you might be able to say it's not likely that it's motion activated. Because if it were motion activated, then the recording would start with the motion that activated the camera, okay, and pause and then start again as motion is created. But I don't understand if they were motion activated, which doesn't seem like smart for a police department, but I'm going to leave it there. Doesn't seem like it's a good idea, but I don't understand why, if there's already motion in the area where the cameras are, why a secondary motion would cause a quote unquote anomaly like that. I just don't understand it.
Let's take this down. I'd like to mark electronic device.
All right. And the other thing that I want to talk about too, with respect to potentially being a motion activated camera, is this. There's already been one trial. Okay. So it isn't as if the defense, let me say it this way. It's not like the Commonwealth doesn't know the issues that the defense might raise, with respect to different evidence, specifically this evidence. And excuse me. Hold on. Sorry, you guys. Oh my goodness, that demon's trying to come out. Get back in there, demon. Anyway, it would seem to me that Brennan would be highly aware of potential issues that the defense might raise with respect to this piece of evidence specifically. And so why not come out with it ahead of time on direct? For example, the group text message where Proctor wrote the most vile things. They got ahead of that. Those text messages came out on direct. And so I don't understand if these were motion activated cameras. I feel like Brennan would have addressed that. He knows there's going to be some questions. So far what I've seen from him is the getting ahead of it. He does do that. So I mean, like, it seems like that's a reasonable expectation, is that he would come out with that on direct.
Drive that has another video on it, Your Honor. I'd like to have that marked as next in order. Court permission.
All right, so there's no objection, Mr. Brennan?
No objection. Thank you.
Okay.
Exhibit 119.
Wow, Buchanan, what was that about? That little
With the court's permission.
Yes.
Now, Sergeant, what does this show?
It appears to be the mirror image of the previous footage. I don't know the exact timestamp there, but
Can we increase the date and time? Do you see, can you read the date and time stamp on this Chiron?
I cannot now.
It's because it's backward, correct?
I can't read it. I can't make it out, sir.
Can you make it any bigger, Mr. Wolk? Does that appear to be backward?
Based on me recognizing some of the digits, it does appear to be backwards.
Okay, let's look at the whole screen again.
Okay. Now, this is very curious to me, this whole mirror image. Okay. So I'm going to do something. This is the shortest one. This is the only, see this, there's no way to do this though. How can I? Well, yeah, I mean, it'll still work the same. All right. So let me open up my, my, CapCut. Okay. Let me see what happens if I use the mirror, because at the bottom, okay, so what I'm looking at here is, I'm just curious about this because I want to try to recreate this. Okay. What I'm looking at is the footage. Hold on. I wonder if I can share this. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Because I want you guys to see this. Let me see. Okay, here. You don't need to, let me see if I put this up, if you guys can still hear me, okay? Can you guys still hear me? If I show this on this, I'm going to put this on the screen. All right, can you guys still hear me? Yeah, you can. I think so, because I can see my thing moving. Okay, so Let me go over here. All right. This is the video from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office of Letitia Stouck's body cam footage. Okay. So here's the edit button. Let me see what happens if I mirror this. All right. Let me delete these because I don't need this anymore. All right. And let me take the blur effect off. Okay. Now you see the text here. It's backwards. So I'm not, this gives me pause. Let me see let me check on you guys over here. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can see it and you can hear me. Okay. This is what gives me pause. All right. Because now I want to try something else. Hold on a second. Now that's how it goes right. That's how it does correctly. Let me turn the scale down. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. I wonder if there's another way I can do this. I really want to try to. I don't know a way to record to do this where it would give you the I don't understand how they flip the image and then the unflipped is backwards. The only way that I can think of to do that would be that there's actually 2 videos. All right. So let me go back to sharing this because I'm curious about this. All right. So let me hold on a second. Sorry. I should have shared. I should not have stopped that. All right. Let me put this on the screen. All right. Now let's see if I duplicate this video. All right. But I changed the crop ratio. All right. So say I want to flip this one. Let's mirror this one, right? Did it do it? Why didn't it do it? I don't know what. Bruh. All right, let's try it with this one. Okay. And move these like this. All right. Let's crop this. This is the right one, right? So let's crop this. Actually, no. Let's crop this part. So we have the writing that's the same, the writing that's correct, right? Okay. Is it possible this is what was done? Because that would fix it. And then if you export, if I were to export it like this, okay, and then they try to undo the invert, then we would get this right here. So what I'm curious about is what I'm curious about is, oh, this is a good question. Is there a difference between a vertical flip and mirror? Let me see. Over here. Let me go over here and see what other edits I can do. Hold on a minute. Let's see. The way that CapCut works, the mirror is the flip. It does it horizontally. It's a horizontal flip. Now, if I were to be on Canva, let's see something here. Let me go to a video that I've made. Let's see here. I'd have to upload, I have to have something similar to recreate. All right. Let me see what happens if I flip it. No, okay. So if you flip it, if I were to take a video and flip it on Canva and flip it up and down, all it does, it makes everything backwards. So what I'm thinking is, I'm thinking that what we have here is a situation where two videos were laid on top of each other the way that I did it, with the writing being correct, meaning it reads left to right. It's not backwards. Exported, right? And then when it's realized that it's not a mirror image, it's called mirrored, but mirrored, okay? And they tried to unmirror it, as it were, put it back the right way. That's how the writing got flipped.
Sergeant, let's play this forward for just a quick second. Pause. Do you see Michael Proctor in this video?
I believe that's him, yes.
And which side, and let's start with this. Do you agree that this is the correct version of the camera angle and the SUV as it pulled into the Sallyport?
This is the footage, the way that is depicted right now is very accurately very accurately represents what I remember from being there.
In fact, this side of the vehicle that we're looking at that's closest to us, that I'm highlighting on the screen to your right, that is in fact the driver's side of the vehicle, not the passenger side of the vehicle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The far side over here would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Which area is Michael Proctor walking to? The left rear or the right rear in this footage?
It appears if that's him, he's walking to the right rear of the vehicle.
Can we play this forward? And do you see Mr. Proctor's head above the SUV?
Yes.
And watch him as the tow truck driver walks by. Did he appear to move?
He shifted weight, yes.
And it appears that there's another person that showed up in the footage, an anomaly of some sort, walking off screen left to right. Is that right?
That's what it appears, yes.
Is Mr. Proctor still at the right rear taillight area?
He's in that general vicinity, yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward. A little bit further. Pause. Can you see anything in his hand? Let me just ask it closed in. Do you see the portfolio in his hand?
It would not be unlikely that it's there, but I can't tell exactly what it is in his hand.
Let's play it forward. Do you see anything in his hand now as his arm?
Yes. Yes.
Does it appear to be consistent with the black portfolio that we saw earlier?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Let's move forward. And he is now off screen, correct?
Yes.
So, in point of fact, Sergeant, when you were asked previously whether the prior video fairly and accurately depicted what you recall as it pertains to the SUV and the Sallyport, that was not quite true, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place. It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that.
I understand this explanation, but it falls very, very short, okay? Because if you're showing this to a jury and they have no idea that the image has been mirrored, which is flipped horizontally, okay? If they don't know that, then they don't know that they're not looking. If they're just looking at it with no explanation, they don't know that whether they're looking at the driver's side or the passenger side. And because there's damage alleged on a particular side of the vehicle, a specific side of the vehicle, right? That is important. And it should have, this is the most ridiculous explanation yet, honestly. I mean, I get what if Sergeant Buchanan had not testified the way that he had the last 3 days or whatever of testimony that he's had. He started on 12. This is so 2 days. This was from day 14. This man testifies like an attorney. Okay. If he didn't testify in that manner, I might be able to buy this explanation, but he testifies like an attorney. So no, I don't. All right, let's listen to his answer and I'll be quiet.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place. It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that it's not recording what the actions and what is transpiring.
But you would agree, at least, that the previous video showed exactly the opposite of what was true and correct, not just a mirror image. What was left is right, and what is right is left, correct?
Mr. Jackson here is correct. Does it record the actions? Yeah, it records the actions. Is it accurate in that there are 2 cars in that Sallyport? Yeah, that's accurate. Okay. Is it accurately recording that there's snow? Yes, that's accurate. But what's not accurate is the perspective. That's what's inaccurate. And if all they were doing, for example, let's say that the evidence that they were interested in collecting had nothing to do with the exterior of the vehicle, but the interior of the vehicle. Okay. Perhaps they were trying to swab it for DNA. There was potential blood stains in there. Would the mirroring or the mirrored effect have an impact? No, it wouldn't, because they're looking at everything in the interior. But because the damage is on the exterior of the video and the way that the video was mirrored as to obscure what was going on in the back of that SUV, at the back of that SUV, that's the problem. And the fact that he doesn't get it, I mean, let me ask you this, Mr. Buchanan. If this were your loved one, Is this how you would want the investigation to be conducted? Stop playing with these people.
Changes to that form.
Would you agree that in point of fact, a mirror image video is not a true and accurate depiction of what's depicted in a scene?
I think it just is a mirror image of what's taking place. If you see someone walking in or driving a vehicle and it's depicting the action of the vehicle being pulled in, and if it's mirrored, it's pulling in from left to right or right to left. It's still documenting the activity that's taking place.
Or if someone walks to the left.
Right. It is documenting the activity. That's not the issue. It's where the activity is. It's not, that's the issue. It's not accurate. It's just like when I showed the shoes. Okay. There was a picture of the shoes that I took off of the Googles, but because it was of low quality, I enhanced the image. And when I enhanced the image, hey, Woofy, I'm sorry, babe. I was distracted. Hi, babe. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. Thank you guys all for being here. I'm on a tangent. I'll be right in a second. When I enhanced that image, there is a person in the image. There is a shoe in the image. Okay. So is that correct? Yes. But to say that nothing had been, that image is, you have to say that you altered it. I altered it by enhancing it. That's it. That's all. And the fact that you will not come off of this whole baloney this is why people be giving you the side eye. It's me. I'm people.
Rear of the vehicle versus the right rear of the vehicle, those two things will be switched, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you'll agree that the prior video that we showed, that you and I just talked about, the inverted video, appeared for all intents and purposes to show Michael Proctor stay away from the from the right rear taillight, walk all the way around, and position himself to the left rear taillight. You'd agree with that, correct?
Objection.
Do you agree with that? I'll allow it.
It appeared that is what was happening, but he was standing next to the taillight that was already damaged.
But in the corrected video, which is this one, it actually shows unequivocally that Michael Proctor walked directly to the right rear taillight portion of this SUV. Correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. In the corrected video, this video here, this unequivocally shows that Michael Proctor walked toward the right rear area of that SUV, where the right taillight is. Correct?
Yes.
And you'll also agree that this video was taken before any taillight material was ever found at 34 Fairview, correct?
Can you zoom in on the time?
Not on this one, this is backwards.
I know that the SUV pulled into the garage, the Sallyport, at 5:35, and we were still on scene at 5:51, almost 52. So, yes, if that's timestamp before 5:51, before we left Canton PD, then yes, taillight pieces had already been found.
So 5:35, 5:37 is before the first taillight pieces were found, right?
I'd have to see a timestamp of when they were exactly found, but if
Let me ask it a different way. 5:37, 5:35 is before 5:45.
yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay, and to Neat Noodle's point, so Neat Noodle said, I had my car stolen once and had a Snapchat video of the kids in the car driving. Law enforcement refused to recommend charges because the image was flipped in Snapchat. So sometimes if you use, I know on Snapchat, like, and even on Facebook, if you do a Facebook Live from your phone and you're using your rear camera, the image will be flipped as well. But but the bottom line is, because it makes it appear as if you're driving on the left, like the steering wheel is on the left side of the car versus the right side of the car. And if you're in the United States, that would be flipped. Okay. We don't drive like that. So that's not how our cars are put together. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's not accurate. If you want to capture the scene accurately, you recreate the scene must be captured exactly how it was. Meaning, if things are on the left, they have to be on the left in the video. If things are on the right, they need to be on the right in the video. A mirrored image is an altered image. I don't care. I don't give a rat's fat kneecap what semantics you argue. If you really want to argue semantics, a mirrored image is an altered image because that is not how the events took place. Stop playing with these people, Buchanan. Wait, did I say that backwards? Let me think about this. No, right? We drive on the left side, do we not? Yeah, and the right side is the passenger. I'm right. Stop messing with me, Woofy.
Sergeant, Canton PD is about 1.5 miles from 34 Fairview, is that right?
Approximately. I don't know the exact distance. I never measured it, but I would not be shocked if you were accurate in that.
Okay, Buchanan, the use of the word approximately means that it's a guess. It's inherent to the word. It's an approximate. It's not an exact. Bruh.
Maybe a 3 or 4 minute drive.
Depending on the traffic conditions and the weather conditions, that could be a possibility, depending on the speed you travel.
Your Honor, I have a photograph that I'd like to have marked with.
Your Honor, I'd like to correct and amend my statement previous because Sissy's mom explained it much better. We drive on the right side of the road, but our steering wheel is on the left. Yes, that's what I meant to say. That's how I meant to explain it. Bless it.
Court's permission, if I may approach.
Marked for identification.
Marked for identification for the time being.
Okay.
May I approach?
Yes. Let's mark it first, please.
I hope you're hold on a second. While they mark this for identification purposes, Mr. Buchanan, I hope you're sitting up there questioning your life choices, bro, especially after the morning's testimony.
Let me take a look.
Thank you. Let me ask you a couple of other questions. We just looked at the videos of the interior of the Sallyport. Harkening back to what we just looked at, the corrected video, there would also be a camera on the other side of that Sallyport garage pointing down toward the right rear taillight area of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
There's a camera situated on the opposite side. We'd be looking at that camera, correct?
Yes.
Okay, taking a look at that photograph, I know the quality of it, but can you tell if that appears to be a still image from that camera?
Yes, it appears to be a still image from that video camera.
I'd ask the
Objection. Wolfie says it's bruh, not bro. Objection, objection, objection. All the objections. Both are accurate. Sometimes the correct word to use in a situation is bruh. Sometimes the correct word to use in a situation is bro. Like, trust me, bro. Like this situation. Take them sassy pants off, Wolfie. Feisty thing.
Move the evidence, Your Honor.
Is there an objection?
No objection. Thank you.
120.
Thank you. If we could display this for the jurors, Your Honor, just the photograph.
I'm anxious to see this photograph again because, oh my goodness, it looks like it
Do you
was
see what's
taken with a
depicted? I know the
potato.
photograph that you're holding is very poor quality. It's a little easier with this lighting. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I'm sorry, your laser was bouncing off on the ceiling. I
I was trying to
apologize.
make it easier for you.
Yeah.
This photograph here.
Oh, okay. Apparently, Sergeant Buchanan is a cat. The laser was bouncing off the ceiling and he got distracted. Now, I can't really be super judgy there because I've been known to be distracted by moving shiny objects. So I'm going to give them a pass. Let me move this up here so we can see. All right, here we go.
That appears to be the seized SUV belonging to the defendant with it being situated inside the Sallyport.
And what is that vehicle there?
It's an antique police cruiser.
And who is this person?
I do not know who that is.
Does that look like Michael Proctor?
Don't know. I'd have to get a zoom in. I don't know.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Would that be
Buchanan, how many mofos were allowed in the Sallyport? How many? I mean, what was going on in that Sallyport? Was there, was it a gathering place? Is that where you guys, suns out, buns out? I don't understand this. What do you mean you don't know? Stop playing.
glasses on?
I don't know.
Would be Chief Berkowitz.
It could be Chief Berkowitz. I don't know.
Can you tell me the date that's on the the date and timestamp at the bottom?
I cannot. I think I might be able to make it out in the actual photograph you printed out. Could I
Okay.
take a look at that?
Sure.
Need the light?
Yes, please, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
It appears the time is 11:08 and 59 seconds in the morning of possibly January 30th of 2022.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pull this back out full frame.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, do you have a point of reference? Does that appear to be the interior camera facing the other direction where the SUV was depicted in the Sallyport earlier?
It's the opposite of what we had viewed earlier, diagonally across, I believe.
So this would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
Now I'd like to ask you to take a look at a video. Now that we have that point of reference. Your Honor, I have a final video. I can have that marked as next in order. Your
Court
Honor.
reporter, she's like,
As
let me get a
next in
drink.
order, so there's no objection, Mr. Brennan?
I have no objection to that being entered now.
Exhibit 121.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, could we
Yes.
present this? Go ahead and play it. Pause. Can you make out, now that that's paused, can you make out what's depicted toward the top of the screen?
Yes, it appears to be a distorted image of that antique police cruiser.
Okay. And does the area next to the police cruiser appear to be empty? Some snow on the ground?
Yes, it does. Actually, yes, it does look that way, yes.
Okay. So there's nothing next to the police cruiser, at least at this point, correct?
That's what it appears to be, yes.
Can we take a look at the timestamp on this document, or on this frame? I'd ask you to let the jurors know if you can see what the actual run time is on this.
I could see the timestamp. I don't know the runtime, what it's going to be.
It's 5:07:10 or 12, something like that?
That's the timestamp, yes.
Okay.
Yes, PM.
Now, if we could just play this forward, go back to full screen. Pause. Now, how many seconds would you estimate, just in your head, just went by in real time?
5.
Approximately 5 seconds.
Okay. Do you see something in the video now?
Yes.
What is that?
It appears to be the seized Lexus SUV.
And now let's look at the timestamp.
Uh-oh.
What time is that?
5:47 p.m.
So, in about, according to your testimony, in about 5 seconds, the time jumped from before the SUV was in the Sallyport to about 5:50 p.m. after the SUV had already arrived and is now situated in the Sallyport, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The time frame that we just saw earlier, of about 5:35, 5:36 or so, with you and, with the tow truck driver and Michael Proctor in the video. That is not in this video. It's not captured in this video, was it?
It did not present itself, no.
That's all I have now.
Mr. Brennan?
All right, let's see what Mr. Brennan's going to do. Hey, you guys, do you mind if I speed Brennan up to 1.25? It just makes him tolerable for me. Please don't hazmats. It won't change anything. It doesn't alter. Now, if I sped him up to 2, yeah, it would alter some things, but I'm just going to put him up to 1.25 because I don't know. It just makes his voice tolerable to me. Barely, though. Barely.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You had just asked questions about some of the video footage from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you further questions about that. In your investigation, did you obtain camera footage from a number of different angles from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area?
I did.
And one of those series of footages, did that include the interior Sallyport back wall for January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Is that the video that appears inverted, and then we saw the second where it was present as you would see it?
Yes, sir.
Did you look at that video? Did you invert the video in any way?
No, I did not.
Did you investigate and learn whether or not there was any other video in addition to that interior Sallyport back wall where video was set up by the town of Canton that appears inverted rather than forward? Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, the investigation revealed that multiple cameras had a lens applied to it that was inverted.
In addition to the Canton Police Department Sallyport interior back wall, where else did you learn around town there was video that appears inverted?
I believe it is inside the Canton PD, the hallways, possibly. And if I am not mistaken, the other locations within the town of Canton. And
Ask the question. No, is that your answer? Is that your final answer?
I wasn't finished, but yes.
Maybe grocery.
Okay.
Sorry, you guys. Let me fix this.
Answer that follows hallways of the Canton PD.
You need to strike all the things, Judge Bev, because I don't. Let me ask you this, you guys. What would be the reason to invert or mirror, use the mirror effect on cameras inside and outside of the Canton Police Department? Why would anybody do that? It makes no sense to me. The only time that I ever mirror something is if, for aesthetics, I don't like the way the image looks as it comes, and I want to put it either on the right or the left of the frame. That's it. That's all. That's the only reason to do it. It's for aesthetics. For me, I have no idea why a police department would do that. It makes absolutely no sense at all. Like you just said it, like when they get, like when they made the building, when they put the building up and they started installing the security, somebody said, hey, I know what let's do. Let's use the mirrored effect lens to record footage. That makes zero sense. Zero. Stop it.
And sir, when you obtained the
Poppycock,
video from the
I
interior
said.
Sallyport back wall, which was inverted, did you provide a copy of it?
Yes, I did.
When you looked at that video, does it have time and date stamps on it?
Yes, it does.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce a copy of that.
So Coffee and Skeletons asks question. That cup thing that the woman is holding up to her mouth throughout the trial, is that a new way for the court reporter to capture what's being said at the trial? Yes. They have the old school way, which is a stenographer. But this is it's the new style. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1.
Exhibit 122.
L. Bergs asks, why no court today? We don't know. All we were told is that, and let me say, why I'm using not the royal sense of we. I'm just including myself in the we, but I wasn't told this. Like nobody sent me an email or anything. I wasn't included. How does Buchanan put it? Or no, it's Brennan. How does Brennan put? I wasn't included in the text chain. Was that there was no court today due to unforeseen or unavoidable circumstances, I believe is what it was. Unavoidable circumstances. Yes, Nicholas, this is the very worst example. Put your thing down, flip it in reverse, sit.
Okay.
When you provided the video for January 29, 2022, for that inverted video, did you do any further investigation to see if it was an anomaly that happened just on that date, or whether that was historically the way the video appeared?
I'll look into that matter, produced the fact that it's been recording that way previously to January 29th.
Why did you want to historically go back and see if it was historically the same way?
To show that it had not been manipulated or altered in any way, and it was accurately recording what was taking place on January 29th, 2022.
As part of the investigation, was the video taken from January 1st, 2022?
Yes.
And is that before January 29th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
I'd like to approach and move to introduce this.
Okay.
Exhibit 123.
Do you know how many cameras are inside the Sallyport?
I don't know exactly. I know that there's at the very least 2 inside the Sallyport.
You were shown a still photograph, not from the inverted video, but from a different video or a different camera.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that photograph?
I do.
And you were asked about gaps in time. Mm-hmm. Do you know what the health was of that camera around that time?
I do not know.
Did you obtain and look at video from that camera?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce.
So let me get this straight. Okay, let me just make sure I'm understanding all of the things here. Okay. They realized that there was some level of an issue with the Sallyport cameras. Okay. So they went back in time to look at other footage from the Sallyport cameras and also from the interior of the Canton PD. Okay. They did that they did that investigating, right? But when Buchanan was asked to bring in evidence, specifically the evidence that was collected at the hospital, John O'Keefe's clothing and the one shoe, right? And you see him at the beginning of the day bringing in his tote and marching up to the stand with all the evidence bags. And Brennan is questioning him about the shoe. He's reading off of the evidence bag, which is notated as, it's documented, I should say. It's documented as the shoe from 34 Fairview. No, he didn't bother to double check that. That shoe was mislabeled. So okay. So now we have that. It's interesting to me as the investigation unfolds, the things that they decide to go back and just double check versus the things that they don't. For example, they learned early on in the investigation about Rick, whose last name escapes me, Ryan Nagel, and Heather Maddox being in a vehicle, arriving after in relatively short time after Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. In fact, they saw them at the crossroad and let them go forward. Yielded to them, allowed them to go first, meaning that they would arrive at the 34 Fairview address after Karen and John O'Keefe. They noted that all three people saw Karen driving the vehicle and John O'Keefe in the passenger side of the vehicle, but they didn't bother to go and check out that witness or interview that witness for 77 years. Like, it's the way that they decide what they're going to further investigate versus what they're not going to further investigate. It doesn't make there's no rhyme or reason to it. And then there's also this. Here's the other issue. Where is the missing 42 minutes?
And have you look at this report too, do you recognize what that is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's the Sallyport videos, the original disc, or thumb drive. I apologize, not disc.
And we'll introduce this as an exhibit, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Exhibit 124.
When you saw that dark photograph, you later saw a picture that was clearer, and you were asked questions about that. Do you know whether or not the video from that Sallyport area was clarified?
It was.
What does clarified mean?
It means it was enhanced to look clearer.
And that image you saw, was that a
That's a problem. The vernacular that's being used to describe what's being done to either images or to video. Clarified is, in my opinion, not the right word to be using. Okay. In my opinion, the better word to use to describe what's being done to either to an image or to a video is upscaled, enhanced, something to that effect. Clarified, I just think is a weird. It's not. I don't, it just doesn't really accurately describe. Why not use the word enhanced? If you're, or cleared. Clear doesn't even make a sense to me either. The way that they pick and choose what they're going to do on this case in their investigation, and I'm sure this is not the only investigation they've conducted this way. This is just the only investigation they got caught at doing it.
clarified photograph taken from the video that was not clarified?
It appears that way, yes.
Do you know who clarified the video?
I do not know.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
I think you see kind of the clarifier. It's the Sallyport video that you showed.
Also, so for those of you who are familiar with the Charlie Adelson trial, okay, the Dan Markel murder, when they were watching the Adelsons, okay, they had an officer who had a wire on. And they went, and the Adelsons were in a restaurant eating, obviously. And it was, there was, ambient noise in the background, and where the person was sitting that was wearing the wire was kind of far away. So when they played that stuff back, it was very difficult to hear. So it was then the sound was altered in a way that the background noise was reduced and the volume of the Markels, or not the Markels, excuse me, the Adelsons party, their voices were enhanced as to make them louder. But before that could be played in open court, there was an explanation of what exactly was done. And I wish that they would have done that. I'd like to know what exactly was done to this video, because when I upscale a video, I use CapCut, and it's an AI feature. AI does it. So I want to know.
This down. Getting you a zip drive, you know what is on that?
So Tess says they won't even show the defense the metadata from this video. Sketchy, in my opinion. I agree. It should be shown. If nothing was done, if it's all fine and dandy, and for some reason somebody set the camera up to record in a mirrored state, which I don't even know how you do that or why you would do that, which I've said 11 billion times. But anyway, then if there's nothing to hide, hide nothing. What's the problem?
Yes.
What is it?
It's Sallyport clarified video from the front wall.
Thank you. I moved into this as an exhibit.
No objection, Mr. Jackson?
Sorry, no objection.
Exhibit 125.
With the court's permission, could I play a portion of the clarified video for the jury?
Yes.
With Ms. Gilman's assistance, could you take us to the clarified video of the...
Okay, so Neat has an explanation for why they use that vernacular, which, thank you, Neat. Neat says, also, I know why they use the word clarified versus enhanced. In law enforcement circles, enhanced means altered once you get to court. Clarified just means clearing up, as in washing a window. Okay, that makes sense. It's a difference between the way that it's used in everyday language and legal in the legal circles. That makes sense. Thank you for explaining, because I wondered about that.
Sallyport, and could you take us to about 5:35?
Well, let's stay on this for a second. So Neat Noodle says, very sketchy at Tess Mac. I can't believe they weren't ordered to turn it over. Right. Like they made a huge deal over the communications that were made, that took place between the, as Brennan says, ARCR experts and the defense, the signal messages, some text messages, etc. Right? They made a huge kerfuffle over that. And the judge did say, I did order all communications to be turned over, but somehow the metadata, which goes to authenticity of this piece of evidence, that's no biggie. Oh my God. I didn't even read the chat when I said this. And Tess Max said, Bev said it wasn't a big deal. Of course she said it wasn't a big deal. Of course she did. Jesus, Bev.
As Ms. Gilman searches, I have other questions I can proceed with.
Okay, we'll turn the light on again, please. Go ahead, thank you.
Did you obtain video of outside the Sallyport to show what time the tow truck arrived with the defendant's Lexus?
Yes, I did.
Tess said that's literally exactly what she said, Jen Lou. You're in her mind. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Jesus, Judge Bev.
May I approach?
Yes.
Can you and I, do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's a disc containing CPD exterior Sallyport video.
Move to introduce this, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 126.
Similarly, did you obtain video from the front driveway of the Canton Police Department depicting the arrival of the defendant's Lexus?
Yes.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Hand you another item. Do you recognize this, sir?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's Canton PD driveway video.
And is this a copy of the video you obtained?
Yes, it is.
I will move this into evidence. No objection.
Thank you. Exhibit 127.
Do you recall when you arrived with the defendant's Lexus on January 29, 2022, what time you reached the Sallyport?
To the best of my recollection, it was 5:35 p.m. is when the vehicle was placed into the Sallyport.
When you left Dighton after the tow truck lifted the defendant's Lexus and put it on the tow truck, did you follow the tow truck back to Canton?
Yes, I did.
Did the tow truck stop at any point between Dighton and Canton Police Department?
Other than red traffic lights, no.
When you were following, how were you following the tow truck?
I was keeping a safe distance, always keeping line of sight behind the vehicle. I was following it from Dighton residence all the way to Canton PD.
Was Michael Proctor with you in your truck?
Yes, he was.
Did you take any detours on your trip back to the Canton Police Department?
No, we followed the truck driver. He led the way.
At any point, did you take any turns to Fairview Road?
No.
Did you know whether or not there was a CERT team at Fairview Road searching while you were driving back to the Canton Police Department?
I knew one was dispatched, yes.
Did you go to Fairview Road to speak to any of the CERT team members?
No.
Did you watch the CERT team members conduct their search?
No, I did not.
In any way, did you, at any point during that search, see it happening?
No, I did not, no.
When the CERT team members were there, do you remember that they arrived at 4:54 and 4:56?
I don't have a specific memory, but I know that they arrived sometime between that hour.
When you arrived at the Sallyport, at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus, what was your understanding of where the CERT team was?
My understanding was they were at 34 Fairview.
When you first arrived around 5:37 at the Canton Police Department, were any members of the CERT team at the Canton Police Department?
Objection. I'll allow it. Lay a foundation.
Now, I asked you, do you remember about what time you got back to the Canton Police Department? Do you know specifically what time you got back?
I know we pulled in to the driveway at 5:30 p.m.
And did you see some of the timestamps that you were shown on cross-examination?
Yes.
Did you see the timestamp 5:37:18 when it was shown to you by the defense?
Yes.
At that time, when you were arriving and bringing the defendant's Lexus into the Sallyport, was there any CERT team members at the Canton Police Department?
No.
Were there any troopers who were speaking to you or receiving items or evidence from you or Trooper Proctor?
Absolutely not.
Was there any items exchanged between you or Trooper Proctor and anybody else for that matter that you saw?
No.
While you were at the Canton Police Department in the Sallyport area, do you remember how long you stayed in that area?
Approximately 15, 20 minutes.
And so you were asked when the first items were found at Fairview Road. Do you remember that it was around 5:45?
Yes.
So at the time those items were first found at Fairview Road, where were you and Michael Proctor?
At Canton Police Department.
When you were at the Canton Police Department and you had brought the Lexus back, did you ever see Michael Proctor leave the Canton Police Department without you?
No.
You ever see him hop in a car and take a drive?
No.
A 3-minute drive or a 4-minute drive?
No.
Did you ever see him leave for a 6-minute, 7-minute trip?
Objection, Your Honor. You've made your point. Next question.
When you were at the Canton Police Department, were you separate or with Michael Proctor?
We were together. Not obviously tied at the hip, but we were within eyesight, traveling together.
If you guys were in eyesight, not joined at the hip together, but then how come you're not in the Sallyport video? Did I misunderstand that testimony? Pause game, though.
After you left the Sallyport area, did you and Michael Proctor immediately leave the Canton Police Department?
No, we stuck around.
Why did you stick around at the Canton Police Department?
To make sure that evidence was properly being protected with yellow tape around it, and we were making plans to go get dinner.
When you were making plans, did you go anywhere else in the police department after you left the Sallyport area?
Yes, I believe we went to the conference room.
Was there anybody else that you saw in the police department when you went to the conference room with Mr. Proctor?
I remember talking to Chief Berkowitz in the police department. We were in the dispatch area at one point in time as well. So there was multiple people that observed us there.
At any point, did you give any items to Chief Berkowitz?
No,
At any point, did you ever see Michael Proctor hand or give an item to Chief Berkowitz?
absolutely not.
You said Michael Proctor had a folder with him.
Yes,
Is that typical in an investigation?
yes.
Did you ever see him place taillight or any item in that folder?
No, that would be absurd.
Did you ever see him retrieve an item or taillight pieces and give it or sneak it over to Chief Berkowitz?
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask a different.
Did you ever see Michael Proctor ever hand any piece of taillight to Chief Berkowitz or any other officer for that matter?
No,
The entire time you were there, did either you or Michael Proctor, from what you saw, provide any items, physical items, to anybody else that was there?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow that.
no, we did not.
Okay.
I would have to estimate it to be around 6, maybe, well, after 6.
And at the point you left, do you know how much any physical police department, anybody, to the May I?
Yes.
At any point from when you first arrived at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus to the point when you left to go to dinner or to get something to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever provide any physical item to anybody at the Canton Police Department?
No, other than dropping off the vehicle itself, we did not exchange anything.
Well, don't say we, I'm just asking for you. Now I'm going to ask you, at any point when you got to the Canton Police Department until you left to go to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever see him hand any physical item to any other person whatsoever?
No, I did not.
I mean, okay, let me ask you this. We saw video footage of Karen on Meadow backing up and hitting John O'Keefe's car. Okay. That was at 5 o'clock in the morning. There was approximately 12 hours between that video and the video where they show Karen Reed's Lexus being pulled into the Sallyport. Is it not possible that they collected the pieces of taillight from Meadow? And there was something else collected from that rear of the video by Proctor in the Sallyport?
After, do you know about what time you and Michael Proctor left the Canton Police Department?
I would have to estimate it to be around 6, maybe, well, after 6.
And at the point you left, do you know how many of the items had been found by the CERT team at 34 Fairview Road at the time you left the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
When you left with Michael Proctor, where did you go?
I went to Norwood, Massachusetts.
Is that where you ate?
Yes.
When you left and then arrived in Norwood, did you stop along the way at any other place, including but not limited to 34 Fairview Road?
I did not.
Did you eat?
Yes.
After you ate, where did you go?
Back to Canton Police Department.
Why?
We were having a debrief for that day on the investigation so that everybody could get on a good understanding of what had been learned, what had been collected, and where the investigation stood, and to assign tasks on the next steps.
Who were you meeting at the Canton Police Department when you returned?
It was the Detective Lieutenant Tully, members of the Norfolk SPDU.
Do you know at about time you returned to the Canton Police Department?
I want to say it was after 7:30, but I'm not positive.
Back the milk truck up. Why are you doing anything or having anything happen at the Canton Police Department? Why are you meeting at the Canton Police Department? Why is the car being stored at the Canton Police Department? If the whole reason that the Canton Police Department is not part of this investigation in the first damn ass place is because they recused themselves. Why is the Canton Police Department included in the investigation chain at all? At all. when the reason they recuse themselves from this investigation is out of an abundance of caution of potential impropriety, because there were people that are related. The Alberts, the Brian and Julie Albert are related to people within the Canton Police Department. Why are we having anything happen at the Canton Police Department? Why is it being used as a storage locker? Why is it being used as a meeting place before the, slumber party? What the actual F? Why are they CC'd on anything having to do with this investigation?
When you left the place that you and Mr. Proctor ate at and returned to the Canton Police Department, did you take a swing by Fairview Road?
No.
Did you stop anywhere from the point you left where you ate and came back to the Canton Police Department?
No, sir.
When you came back to the Canton Police Department, did you get debriefed?
Yes.
Did you learn whether or not the search team had found any physical items at Fairview Road?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
Yes, I did.
Did they give you any details about what they had found at Fairview Road during the team search?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I learned that
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow this.
the second sneaker was located. Also, a large piece of red taillight was also located.
After you were debriefed, did you leave the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Who did you leave with, if anybody?
It was myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper Keefe, I believe.
When you left the Canton Police Department, do you know what time that was?
I do not, but I would have to estimate to be around 8 o'clock, maybe 8:15.
Did you leave alone?
I was in my truck, yes.
Did you see where...
Mr. Reddy, what I'm going to do is just interrupt you for a minute. Folks, a couple of minutes ago when Sergeant Buchanan testified as to what he learned at the debriefing, that's not offered to you for the truth of what he said was learned, but only so you understand that the police, what Sergeant Buchanan and the police knowledge was at the time, that it was told. Go ahead, Mr. Reddy.
Thank you. When you drove away, were you alone?
Yes.
Okay. When the Lexus was brought to the Sallyport, did you have a chance to again look at that right rear taillight?
Yes.
Did you make observations of it?
Yes.
Which one's the right rear taillight? Which one is the right rear taillight? Find that one. The right rear taillight. While you were at the Canton Police Department and in the Sallyport area, did you ever see anybody take a piece or in any way remove part of that broken taillight from the Lexus?
No, I did not.
If you had, what would have you done?
Objection.
Sustained.
I have questions. Did I not hear correctly? Okay. Did Buchanan not testify that he's not in that video at some point? So if you're not in that video at some point, you can't possibly testify to any point, right? Like you can't say I was there the whole time and I watched all the things, everything that was going on, okay? And I saw Michael Proctor do nothing. I didn't see him do anything to that right rear taillight. But you weren't there the whole time. I'm so confused by this. Did I not hear that? Am I misinterpreting the testimony? Please correct me if I am, because I don't want to be, I don't want to accuse people of something they didn't do.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. So, Mr. Jackson?
Could I have Exhibit 13 displayed, please?
Okay.
Could you zoom in a little, please, Ms. Gilman? Do you recognize that photo?
I do.
What do you recognize it as?
I recognize it as the damaged and missing pieces of the right rear taillight on the defendant's Lexus SUV.
When the Lexus was brought into the Sallyport, was there still snow on it?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow on it that covered parts of the vehicle?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow in that area
Currently, no.
when you first brought it into the Sallyport?
I'm sorry, in the area of the vehicle?
No, the area of that taillight.
Yes, there was, yes.
How close did you get to take a look at that?
I was within a foot of it.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw?
Yes, it is.
From what you saw, was the damage you saw when you looked at the car for the first time in the Sallyport area any different than the damage that appears on this Exhibit 13?
It is not.
As part of your investigation, did you look for, you can take that down please, and lights on, thank you. Did you look for other evidence that the taillight was broken before it came into the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to view the ring video from Meadows Road at 5:07 in the morning?
Yes, I did.
And when you looked at that, did you have an opportunity to look at the defendant's Lexus backing up and then leaving that driveway?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to see if there was any evidence?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see that stood out to you about the taillight?
The taillight is shining white and not covered by a red taillight cover, which would have produced a red light.
Back the milk truck up, literally. Back the milk truck up, literally. I'm assuming that he's talking about, he might clarify further, but just listen, just for this moment right now. This is just my first initial thought based on what he's saying. Of course, there would be white. Is it, aren't reverse lights when you back up? Don't your reverse lights come on? Aren't those reverse lights also white?
Did you further look at any video from the Canton Police Department dash cams to get a view of that taillight and determine whether it was broken before it was even brought to the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
And did you in fact look at video or still photographs from the Canton Police Department dash cam?
Yes, I did.
Could I have Exhibit 11 displayed, please? And during your investigation, when you were making this analysis, did you view this photo?
Yes, I did.
Did you make any particular reference or anything that caught your attention in this video?
Yes, the right rear taillight of the Lexus SUV is missing the red lens cover, and it is damaged.
You mentioned the observations. You can take that down, please. You mentioned your observations when you got to Dighton about what you saw relative to the taillight. And then at some point, video was provided of the tow?
Yes.
Did you study that video as well?
Yes, I
And
did.
did you see anything in particular when you were making these determinations that stood out about the video of the Lexus being put onto that tow truck relative to the taillight?
Yes, the video indicated that there was white light coming through, exposing the missing red right rear taillight cover.
You told us on direct examination you've watched a number of videos and interviews of the defendant.
Yes.
Without getting into the content, did you watch any videos where the defendant talks about the broken taillight prior to the Sallyport?
Objection, Your Honor.
Not formal, sustained.
Did you listen to any interviews of the defendant relative to the taillight?
Yes.
Now, I want to go back and I want you to take us through your investigation, and I want to be specific about what you learned and when and what you did with that information relative to the decisions and the direction of your investigation. When you were called on the morning of January 29, 2022, when you first got a call, where were you?
I was at home in bed.
You mentioned that after you received the call, you called another trooper at that time.
Yes, sir.
And who was that?
Michael Proctor.
After you spoke to Michael Proctor, did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened prior?
No, I did not.
Did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened the night before?
I did not, no.
I want to know who's in charge of doing the calling, because I remember testimony from Buchanan saying that him and Proctor I don't know how the list is, what's the word I'm looking for? Compiled. Is it alphabetically? Because Buchanan B is way before P. So I don't know how they would have gotten that mixed up. Even if it was just a list, like their phone tree is just a list of the homicide detectives. There's what, 4 or 6? Mm.
Do you have any firsthand knowledge about the participants or the people that may or may not have been involved?
I did not know.
Did you at that point know, or were you friendly with Brian Albert?
I knew who he was. I was not friendly with him. I did not know who he was.
Had you ever socialized with him?
No.
Nicole Albert,
No.
were you friendly or ever socialized with her?
No, I've never.
Jennifer McCabe, did you know who she was or socialize with her?
No, I did not.
Her husband Matthew McCabe, did you know him or socialize with him?
No.
How about Julie Nagel? Did you know who she was or had you socialized with her?
No, I did not.
Ryan Nagel, is that name, is that familiar to you?
No, it's not.
Sarah Levinson, did you know that person?
I did not.
You mentioned that you knew who Brian Higgins was,
Yes.
and you had worked on a case or some involvement in the case with him?
Yes.
Did you owe him any particular favor or kindness at that time?
I'll sustain it.
Did you have any loyalty or friendship with him?
I'll allow that.
I did not know.
At this point, you were how far into your career as a Massachusetts State Police officer?
In 2022, I was approximately 10 years in.
And you had been honorably discharged from the military?
Yes, I was.
Served the president?
Yes.
And so, at this point, how about Heather Maxson? Did you know that name?
I did not know.
When you first received the call, did you have any first-hand knowledge whatsoever?
No, just what I was told over the phone.
You mentioned you went to the Canton Police Department first and spoke to Canton police officers.
Yes.
Was it at that point you learned about a physical item that was found at the scene?
Sustain.
What did you learn from them that was important in your investigation when you first got to the Canton Police Department?
I learned that there was a broken, shattered cocktail glass that was recovered from near where Mr. O'Keefe was found, and also his phone was underneath him at the scene.
And were both those items available to you?
Yes.
Did you also learn any statements made from any witnesses that were attributed to the defendant at that time?
Yes.
And what was the statements?
At that point in time, while at the Canton Police Department, the statements were, "Oh my God, did I hit him? Did I hit him?"
In a question format, questioning.
Yes.
And based on that information, was it somewhere around that point when you called the hospital or medical examiner's office?
Yes, I made a call to the medical examiner's office.
Was that all the information you learned that morning?
No, it's not.
After you learned that information, did you ask the police officers, well, let me ask it this way. After you learned that information, did you want to go somewhere?
Yes, I did.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to interview the individuals that were with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was located and get their accurate and most first-person information from them directly.
Do you know whether or not, were they suspects at this point?
No, they were not.
Did you know whether they were eyewitnesses or differently witnesses?
At this point in time, prior to speaking to them, I just knew that they were eyewitnesses for the location of Mr. O'Keefe, but I did not know if they were eyewitnesses or witnesses.
And who did you speak to?
I spoke with Ms. Jennifer McCabe, Mr. McCabe, and Mr. Brian Albert.
When you spoke to them, did you separate them or speak to them as a group?
I separated them.
You went to whose house to speak to them?
The McCabe household.
Is it typical to go to a person's house rather than bring them to the station under these circumstances?
Ask it differently, Mr. Chairman.
Why did you go to their house rather than ask them to come to the police station?
Well, there were multiple factors involved in that decision. One, the driving conditions. Two, these are witnesses that had suffered some sort of traumatic event finding their friend on the front lawn of their own town. So going to their home would provide hopefully a more comfortable scene for them to recall information in the comfort of their own home.
When you spoke to them, did you receive any information from any of them that Mr. O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview at any time that night?
No.
When you were asked questions about scene versus crime scene, was 34 Fairview, the home, the inside of the home, a crime scene in your mind?
No.
Was the area where Mr. O'Keefe found an important or unimportant area?
It's very important.
Did you know whether or not any of the Canton Police Department officers at that time had done any type of limited search of the area?
Just whether you knew.
At that point in time, we did know, yes.
And what did you learn about the scope or the breadth of that search by the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I knew that it was brief based on the weather conditions and the item that was recovered.
After you spoke to Jennifer McCabe, and did you say Brian Albert?
Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert.
At that point, did you have any reason to want to go into 34 Fairview?
No, I did not.
Did you learn whether or not Canton police officers spoke to those particular people who lived there before you got there?
I had learned, yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that Canton police officers went inside the home, spoke with members inside the home as well.
When you speak to witnesses, you've done many interviews over your
Yes, I
career?
have. Yes.
In addition to asking questions, what are you looking for when you speak to a witness?
We're looking for body language, how willing they are to provide the information, and as with everyone, we always trust by verify. We corroborate their statements.
Did you see anything about these witnesses when you spoke to them that cued you or concerned you to do a further investigation?
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask it differently.
Was there anything about their mannerism or demeanor that stood out to you?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
After speaking to the witnesses, in your mind as an investigator, what did you need to do next?
I needed to take a look at Mr. O'Keefe's injuries for myself.
And you share with us.
Okay, I just got a couple of things real quick here that I want to say. Crocheting Bambi says, I'm sorry, but if there were cops all over my front yard, I'd be outside in a blizzard to see what's going on. Yes, yes. I'm nosy even when it's not a blizzard. But if it were a blizzard, I would be dressed like that little boy from A Christmas Story. I can't put my arms down. Okay? That's how I'd be dressed. I wouldn't give a rat's fat kneecap. I'd be out there watching. Okay? And so the other thing I wanted to make a comment on is about this demeanor of the people inside the home at 34 Fairview that didn't lead him to note anything that was, they'd all gotten their stories straight, and he said nothing about their demeanor cued him into thinking that they weren't telling the truth. Why? Were they not singing, "Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious"? They weren't singing that? Shut up. God.
Detail about when you went down to Good Samaritan Hospital to make observations.
Yes, sir.
On direct examination, I pointed out you're not a medical examiner, are you?
I am not, no.
Not a biomechanical engineer.
I am not, no.
In your experience, when you looked at Mr. O'Keefe and had a chance to study his body, what impression did that leave you with relative to your investigation?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
At that point in time, after viewing Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, my impression shifted from him possibly being struck with the glass that was located at the scene where he was found to him being struck by a vehicle.
Why?
Due to the abrasions and cuts on his right arm, and the amount of force, in my experience, the amount of force one would have to generate to produce the wound to his head.
Objection.
I'm going to strike that last part.
After coming to the conclusion, or strike that, after making your observations and your determination, did your focus shift at that point?
Yes, it did.
Where did you want to go next?
I wanted to observe the vehicle that the defendant was driving.
What were you going to be looking for?
Any damage to the headlights, windshield, and other parts of the vehicle that would have come into contact with Mr. O'Keefe.
You mentioned the windshield and the headlights. Those are in the front of the car. Did you have an impression at that point?
Yes. Majority of the cases that I had exposure to with pedestrian vehicle strikes, the strike comes from the front of the vehicle. So in my assumption, speculation at that point in time, based on the limited information I had, that was my theory.
When you got to Dighton, did that theory change?
Prior to our arrival to Dighton, the theory had changed.
Based on information you received from Jennifer McCabe?
Objection.
Sustained.
What was that based on?
It was based on information I received from Jennifer McCabe's phone conversation.
And what do you know? Jen McCabe has entered the chat again.
And what was that information?
That the defendant told her that she had damaged her taillight and showed Mrs. McCabe and Mrs. Roberts the missing pieces and damage to the rear right taillight of her vehicle.
After she hit John O'Keefe's car, which his vehicle, which you can clearly see in that footage from Meadows, right? Right.
When you got to Dighton and had a chance to look at the defendant's Lexus, did your focus of your investigation develop in any way?
Yes, seeing for myself that there was actual damage, coupled with the statements made, did I hit him, could I have hit him, along with the
statements. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Did I hit him? Could I hit him? Could I have hit him? Those are questions. Those are not statements.
my observation, obviously, of the vehicle. My focus began to concentrate on the defendant.
You share with us that you went inside and spoke to the defendant.
Yes.
Why did you speak to her at her home rather than ask her or force her to come to the police station?
Same reasons we interviewed the witnesses, the driving conditions, the time that it would take for her to respond, the comfort of her own home, her parents' home, where she had just experienced a very traumatic event, being concerned for her well-being. We interviewed her in the comfort of her parents' couch.
When you interviewed
So Brittany asks, when did she back into his car? Give me just 1 second. 5:36:22. Let me write that down because I'll forget. Hold on a minute. Okay, let me write that timestamp down because it's in this, and I want to show you. Okay, let me go back. Give me just a second. I have to find it. I don't know if it's on this day. Hold on. I think it might be at the end of Friday. I'll go find it for you. Give me just a sec. We'll keep listening.
her in her parents' home, where was she seated?
On the couch of her parents' living room.
Where was her mother?
She was in the home. I don't have a specific memory of her being in the room with us, but her father was in the room with us.
Did you ever try to separate the defendant from her father when you interviewed her?
We confirm.
Hold on. Let me skip through this. Sorry, you guys.
To my question, when you decided to speak to the defendant, did you ask her father to leave the room?
I did not know.
Why not?
We just simply wanted to get her recollection. Her father did not pose a safety risk to us. He was not present, to the best of our knowledge at the time, when Mr. O'Keefe was injured. So him leaving the room just didn't appear necessary. Again, my concern was for her well-being, having known that she was sectioned, and we wanted to make sure it was a safe and comfortable environment for her to do the best she could to tell us what she remembered.
Okay, I found it. Give me just a second so I can pull it up for you guys. Hold on. All right.
If we could, with the court's permission, zoom in on the Chevy Traverse in the upper left-hand, the vehicle in the upper left-hand corner of the video.
Okay.
Well, Brittany, I'm glad you decided to chat today. Thank you.
Pause it. Let's go ahead and zoom in on the upper left-hand corner. Okay. Go ahead and play.
Wait, wait, wait. Hold on a minute. Right here. Red, red. White, white. White is from the back, is from the reverse lights. All right, let's play this through.
Go ahead and zoom in on the upper left-hand corner. Okay. Go ahead and play. Pause. Did you see anything happen with the left rear tire of the other car in the driveway?
Which car?
Which car? Oh my God. Teacup, thank you, babe. I appreciate that. Teacup gifted award case studies membership, and Brandy got it. So Brandy, if you're in here, be sure you thank Teacup Kraken for that. Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting me and the channel. It means a lot to me. All right, let's keep going. Let me get to the right window. Here we go.
The highlighted portion, the parked car, which is the left rear tire that's zoomed in on.
I wasn't paying attention to the tire. Can you play it again, please?
With the court's permission?
No, don't play it again because look, whoops, right here. Ladies and gentlemen, what does that look like to you? It's all the way red, is it not? Let's keep going.
Okay.
Let's try that one more time. Pause it. Okay, you can take that down. Did you see anything happen with that left rear tire of the Chevy Traverse?
Based on that video,
I don't care about what you have to say. Did you guys see the fact that that was completely red also? Look. How about that? What? It's a miracle.
That left rear tire of the Chevy Traverse?
based on that video, it appears there might have been movement there.
Last year, and you've seen this.
All right, so that's where that happened. All right, now let's get back to Buchanan's testimony from yesterday afternoon.
What was her demeanor when you spoke to her?
She was calm, stoic. She was sitting on the couch with a pillow on her lap, a laptop to her left. She was, I guess, maybe poised when she was answering our questions.
Calm and stoic. Interesting. Was she medicated? I mean, she'd just been sectioned.
When you finished your conversation with the defendant, had anybody in that home ever mentioned the idea of whether or not John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview that night?
No.
When you went outside to get in your truck and follow the tow truck back to Canton, did you have any information whatsoever that there was any animus or animosity?
Okay, So crocheting, Bama says, if the light was broken, it would be white all the time, not just while backing up. Yes and no. Most vehicles are equipped with reverse lights, which are white. Okay. So I think when we're looking at the white, what we're seeing when she's initially backing up before she very clearly hits John O'Keefe's car are the lights probably from the reverse and probably from the lights that shine on your license plate. But I mean, the video speaks for itself. I'm just going to leave it there. If she damaged her vehicle at all, I would say that it was done when she hit that parked vehicle, not John O'Keefe himself.
Between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe.
No.
After speaking to witnesses and the defendant at that point when you got back into your truck to go to Canton, did you have any information that there was any animosity between Brian Albert and John O'Keefe?
No.
We've already talked about, out of order, your return back to Canton, the Sallyport, and then you and Mr. Proctor going out to dinner and going back, so I'm going to skip all of that. After you went home that night, did your investigation continue?
Yes.
How long do investigations continue for?
Until they are completed and exhausted, sometimes years, sometimes decades.
If you were to receive new information tomorrow, would you consider it?
Absolutely.
Sustained.
When you write police reports, is there a time limit on when you can file a report?
No.
Throughout this case, did you write a number of reports over time?
Yes.
Did you engage in tasks after the case began?
Yes.
Have you engaged in tasks recently?
Yes.
As you were investigating this case, did you speak to a number of witnesses?
Yes, I did.
Did you consider reports that were provided by other troopers who interviewed witnesses?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor was the case manager of this case?
Yes.
You were his supervisor?
Yes.
Were there other troopers who participated in this case?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not Lieutenant O'Hara participated in this case?
I do know.
You do know?
I do know that he
Did
participated, yes.
Did he?
Yes.
Do you know if he had a team with him of other troopers?
Yes.
Do you know if Trooper Prince engaged in any interviews?
I do know, yes.
Are you familiar with the name Nick Gianturco? Guarino, I saw it.
Yes, I am.
And do you know if he engaged in any tasks in this case?
I do know, yes.
What did he engage in generally?
He generally conducted the digital forensics portion of the investigation, extractions.
Trooper Keefe, is that a name familiar?
Yes, it is.
And
Yes, let's talk about those extractions. Brian Higgins extracted his own damn phone and turned over that extraction, as it were, to the Massachusetts State Police. Did anybody at any time question that at all? I would understand coming forward and saying, hey, just so you know, I'd like to be fully transparent. I had a text conversation with Karen Reed that lasted between this date and ended on this date. Here are some screenshots. Okay. But to then not turn over the phone and just let them extract the phone kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? It would make me wonder. For the same reason that when a person goes missing, okay, and they're out searching, they keep a log of who is doing the searching, and where the searching, when people volunteer. But they keep track of everybody doing the search, right? But they pay particular attention to the civilians who volunteer to conduct the search. Because it's common knowledge that the perpetrator of a crime can and does frequently interject themselves into the investigation. But this was like another one of those, nah, we don't need to do further research. Shut up. Also, just to break up the monotony a little bit, once again, Sergeant Buchanan, this should have been your only response to anything and everything Proctor said to you in that, to use the term Brennan uses, text chain.
No, you shut up! Don't talk to me! Don't talk to me, criminal!
That's it. That's all. Let's keep going.
Do you know whether or not he was involved?
Yes, I do know.
Were there a number of other troopers who were involved in different aspects of this case?
Yes, there are a number of different ones.
Trooper Evan Brent?
Yes.
Did you look or seek other information after you left the defendant's house?
Yes.
Did you look for other witness statements?
Yes.
Did you try to obtain further evidence?
Yes, we did.
Was there an interview with firefighter Timothy Nuttall on February 8th?
Yes, there was.
And that was about 10 days after the incident?
Approximately, yes.
Did you learn any statements from him in addition to the earlier statements you learned that added to your investigation?
Yes.
I'm going to allow it.
And do you
Judge
remember
Bev.
what Timothy...
How in the actual F are you going to allow that when you know damn right well that there has been testimony subsequent to Nuttall's testimony that proves that he did not hear Karen Reed say that firsthand?
Nuttall told you on February 8th, 2022 about any statements of the defendant?
Objection.
So, folks, again, this is being offered not for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information was provided to the police.
Yes, Mr. Nuttall was one of 3, I believe.
So, talk about Mr. Nuttall, please.
Mr. Nuttall told me that the defendant stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Was that information different than the statements that you were first learned about that she had allegedly made earlier that night?
Yes, it was.
Did you interview firefighter Daniel Whitley on February 8, 2022?
I did.
When you spoke to him, do you remember whether he shared any statements about the defendant telling him anything about her interaction with Mr. O'Keefe at the end of that night?
I believe that he stated that they got into a fight.
Do you remember the words that he used when he described that fight?
I do not remember the exact words. Those will be reflected in my police report.
Would your police report potentially refresh your recollection?
Potentially.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh my God, potentially. Are you kidding me right now? You've spent the last 2 days or the last 2 times that you're on the stand because there's a week. Don't interrupt me, Mr. Brennan. I'm speaking. Potentially refresh your recollection. Give me a break. You've spent the last days that you were on the stand on cross-examination demanding to see your report. Are you kidding me? And then you read ahead just in case, to get ahead of any questions follow-up questions that might be coming.
Determine whether it refreshes your memory, and then I'll ask you if it refreshes your memory. If it does, I'll ask you about it. If it doesn't, then I won't.
Okay, sir.
Bro, he's been refreshed like 11 billion times. He should understand how memory refreshing questioning goes. Really, Jen? So Crocheting Bammy says, are they claiming that Karen asking if she hit him is an excited utterance? Sorry if this has all been answered. I didn't watch the first trial. They're saying that it's consciousness of guilt. It's a confession. See, reading ahead.
After reviewing your report, does it refresh your memory about your conversation with Daniel Whitley on February 8, 2022, about statements made by the defendant to him.
Yes.
And could you share with us what the statements were as related by Mr. Whitley back on February 8, 2022?
The statement was,
Objection, Your Honor.
Again, jurors, this is an offer for the
So Neat says, I'll allow it. I need to do 2 new emojis, one for sidebar and one I'll allow it. Can you make the sidebar an actual bar? Please.
truth that's contained in the statement.
Oh my
simply to show that
God.
this information is provided to the police.
the defendant made a statement questioning whether Mr. O'Keefe was still alive.
In anything
Okay. That's contradictory. I know what he's trying to say here, but still, she made a statement questioning. It's not a statement; it's a question. Now, I think what you might be trying to say is the defendant gave a statement. See, that's different. Okay. In that context, gave a statement is simply she said, period. It with no it's called like when they talk about like an interrogation or an interview and they're asked, did the defendant make any statements or give a statement, I should say, not make, give a statement that denotes that there was a conversation had between the defendant and the interrogators. That's I think what he's trying to say here, but because there is a question whether or not what she said was actually a statement or a question, he should be very careful to describe those correctly.
about the nature of their disagreement.
Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant got into an argument.
Objection.
So for the same purpose.
As you're learning this information, does it in any way shape your continued investigation?
Yes, it further supports witness statements. It further supports and corroborates information that we're learning. The more information we collect, the stronger the case becomes.
Did you interview a person by the name of Anthony Flamate?
Yes, I did.
And when you spoke to him, do you recall whether he shared any statements that the defendant made to him? Objection.
Overruled.
Yes.
And do you recall what those statements were?
I do have a general recollection of what they were, but
I don't want you to guess. Would your report potentially help your memory?
yes, it would.
Why did you interrupt him, Brennan? Now, you know damn right well that fool is about to say, I would need to look at my report. He said it 11 billion times. Like, are you just meeting him today? Is this your first day? Jesus.
Can I approach?
Yes.
Yeah, give him his damn report. Let him get refreshed.
Yes, we did.
Hold on.
Shape your investigation. Did you consider anything that Anthony Flamate told you?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what did he tell you that the defendant told him that helped shape your investigation? Objection.
I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute.
Judge Bev wants a sidebar.
Considering all of the prior information you had, was there any evidence that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road on January 29, 2024?
There was not.
Also, Teacup Kraken says, and I got to talk about this because it's funny to me and it's just an interesting little sidebar. Teacup says, ages ago, someone mentioned in a chat that they worked at the bar Bev and her sister frequent, and she is a decent tipper. I actually feel like outside of the courtroom, Bev might be all right and probably is a good tipper. It's inside the courtroom where I question all the things.
Relative to the information that could be stored in the computer systems on Alexis, do you know which troopers, or do you know if Trooper Garino was involved in any process regarding that?
Yes, I do know, and yes, he was involved in conducting that portion of the investigation.
As part of the investigation, was it important or was it considered to look at John O'Keefe's phone to see if there was any specific or particular information on it that would be helpful?
Yes, it would be.
What were you looking for? What was the team looking for on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Well, the all-encompassing data includes location of the device. It includes communication, the party's identity with whom an individual could possibly be communicating. In this case, Mr. O'Keefe, his text messages, phone calls, emails, other applications like Signal and WhatsApp could have been also in use.
How about voicemail?
I mean, I'm glad that you asked that question, Brennan, respective to John O'Keefe's phone, because there's really no point in asking about Karen Reed's phone, because I believe Proctor's text messages speak for themselves. He was looking for nudes. Disgusting.
Voicemails, yes.
Did you ever review or consider any of those things that you just mentioned in your investigation?
Yes, I did.
Speaking of interviewing witnesses, did you, along with Michael Proctor, interview Katie McLaughlin on January 30th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
Was this the very next day?
Yes, it is.
And as part of your investigation and the direction and scope of your investigation, did you consider the interview with her and what she might have told you?
Yes, it
And
was.
when you were speaking with her the very next day, is there any statements that she attributed to the defendant that you considered in the next days of your investigation?
Yes, there was.
Do you remember what she told you the defendant said that was part of your consideration for your future investigation?
Yes, I hit him.
I'm going to allow it. Folks, remember that the statement is not being offered for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the
This is the problem with understanding law speak. Okay? So let me let Bev finish and then I'll make a comment.
information was provided to the statement.
Okay. When they say that the statement is that this is being allowed not for the truth of the statement, but just to show that this statement was given to police. I think that's kind of confusing to the jury, but whatever. I'm over it. I think that it's bullshit.
To the statement that Katie McLaughlin...
I don't think that this is what I think happened. I think that it is something because Karen Reed admits it herself. Of course, she questioned it because she didn't even realize that she hit John O'Keefe's vehicle. So she backs out. She's hauling ass to go search all over Hell's Half Acre for John O'Keefe, who didn't make it home. Okay. She hits his vehicle. They get over to Carrie Roberts' house. Jen McKay, it's at that point, I can't remember if she talks about the damage at Carrie Roberts' house or back at Meadow. But regardless, it happened after she hit John O'Keefe's parked vehicle that I don't even think she realized that she hit. I mean...
McLaughlin attributed to the defendant that very next day, January 30th, 2022. Did that shape your investigation at all?
It helps attribute to the investigation. Again, all the evidence, all the statements, all the digital, all the circumstantial, all of that information is coupled and then put together, capped off by the defendant's statements herself to form the case.
But back the milk truck up, because didn't the wasn't the initial findings from the autopsy something different? Am I remembering wrong? I mean,
There were questions about...
Hold on a minute. When you're capping off, as you said, an investigation, wouldn't the findings of the medical not the medical examiner, of the autopsy, wouldn't the conclusions from the autopsy trump everything else? Science doesn't lie, people do.
About a plow driver by the name of Brian Loughran. When did you first hear or learn of that name?
It was quite some time after the case had made its way through the court system.
When you learned of his name, did you attempt to speak to him?
Yes.
And before you spoke to him, were there any issues you identified relative to Mr. Loughran before you actually spoke to him?
In regards to him, no, I didn't know him. I've never met him.
Did you, in fact, speak to him and interview him?
Yes, I did.
Was that interview, did anybody attend that interview with you?
Yes.
It was asked whether or not there was a car that was seen. And that was a, what type of car?
Ford Edge.
Was he specifically asked whether or not that was a Ford Edge owned by the Albert family?
In our interview?
Yes.
I don't remember specifically, but it is along the line of questions that would have been in my report and transcription of the audio recording.
And one last interview, did you speak to Brian Albert Jr.? Or did you see, or did you consider a report of his interview?
I saw a report. And
Did you attend that interview?
I did not know.
What did you understand his relevance to be in your investigation?
He was at the home, at his parents' home, when some of his relatives and parents' friends came back to 34 Fairview.
And after you considered that interview, did it change your perspective of knowledge about whether anybody had suggested that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road that night?
No, it did not, no.
When I asked you questions earlier on in the case, days ago now, we went through a number of pieces of evidence that was found at different times at 34 Fairview Road. Do you remember those questions and going through that process?
I do remember, yes.
When we went through that process, were there any items that I did not ask you about?
Yes, there were.
And the items I did not ask you about, were they retrieved or found on different dates?
Yes, they did. They were, yes.
And the items that I did not ask you about on those different dates, do you remember how many different dates other items were found?
I want to say 3 different dates.
And on those other items I didn't ask you about, who recovered those items of evidence from 34 Fairview Road?
Michael Proctor.
Were you with Michael Proctor on any of those 3 dates when he turned in or reported the recovery of other evidence at 34 Fairview Road?
I was not, no.
And do you
So why are we talking about evidence that you didn't ask about? What's the point of this? What are you doing?
understand whether anybody was with him on those 3 dates?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
My understanding that nobody else was with him.
He did,
And I did
Sissy's
not
mom.
ask you about any of those
Proctor
pieces of
testified
evidence?
in the first
No, you did not,
trial,
no.
yes, he
On
did.
cross-examination, you were asked about those 3 pieces of evidence?
Yes, I was.
Were you shown what are now exhibits containing pictures and a photograph of the bags in which those items were bagged?
Yes, I was.
Do you have those physical pieces of evidence?
I do.
Now I'd like to ask you about those 3 pieces of evidence. Was there evidence produced from February 8, 2022?
There was.
Who produced that evidence?
It was Michael Proctor who recovered it.
And you were not there that date when he recovered the items?
I was not, no.
I'd ask you to retrieve 7-13, the items that were found on February 8, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Do you have gloves?
I do.
What I'm really confused about is how this officer is allowed to testify to evidence collected by Michael Proctor that he wasn't there for. I don't understand how that, but I'm not an attorney. I'm sure there's some sort of legal thing that's why this is allowed.
7-13.
No, I move to introduce this into evidence.
No objection.
128.
Can you describe what is in that bag? And if necessary, you should open it and show it to the jury.
The description is one large piece of plastic, red in color, one small piece of red plastic, and one piece of black plastic. I will open it to further show. This one's labeled 22-02-184-7-13 as the bag, and this is letter labeled A as in alpha.
Could you again tell us the date that was recovered?
This was recovered on February 8th, 2022. This appears to be a black piece of plastic, same identifying numbers, but this one is labeled with the letter B as in Bravo. This small piece of red plastic is not labeled.
Thank you. You mentioned this was on February 8, 2022. Earlier in, are you done with that package?
Yes.
Earlier in your testimony, you had shared that you went back to 34 Fairview on February 10, 2022.
Yes, I did.
And on that date, you recovered pieces of taillight.
Yes, I did.
At that point, on February 10, 2 days after that February 8th production, was there still any snow on the ground at 34 Fairview?
Yes, there was still snow on the ground. Obviously not in the amount that was there the first day.
The second production from Mr. Proctor, do you know what date that was?
Don't hold me to it. I want to say the 11th of February.
And did you bring 7-14 and 7-15 with you?
Yes, I did.
Could you produce those, please? Let's take one at a time, please.
7-14 and 7-15.
Let's start with 7-14. I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection, Lord.
Thank you.
Regarding 7-14, can you show us what Mr. Proctor found on February 11, 2022?
Yes, sir. Appears to be a variety of wax, like stamp bags, as well as plastic containers. And this is consistent with having glass in it, as it was earlier.
Does the packaging, it seems different than the other bags. Is there any reason you know of that the packaging is different?
It appears that these are small fragments of glass, so for safety reasons, it appears that they were placed into a hard containers to prevent injury or maybe possibly losing it.
Could you just hold up a few examples for the jury to see?
Yes. This one here is labeled 7-14 and then A. This here is B. This here is C. And then there's fragments in here.
You don't need to take them out, just describe them generally.
small pieces of what appears to be glass inside the wax paper.
If you can rebag all that, we'll move to the next item.
Yes, sir. $7.15.
Please, I'd move 7:15 into evidence.
Mr. Jackson?
Were 7:14 and 7:15 two separate bags, both found on February 11, 2022?
I can confirm that as soon as I look back at the bag.
Exhibit 130.
Yes, February 11th.
If you could open that and show the jury.
Yes, sir.
We have some breaking news provided by Tess Mack. Okay, this is from Jonathan Hall at J Hall 7 News on the Twitter X's. Breaking. This was at 10:07 a.m. Judge Cannoni is holding a Zoom hearing with attorneys for Karen Reed. Prosecutors are in the courtroom. Attorneys Yannetti and Jackson are appearing remotely. The judge wants this at sidebar. I'm the only reporter in the room, in the courtroom. And the next tweet is, whatever. The judge just decided to close the courtroom, and I was asked to leave, probably due to issues with the Reed defense team hearing what was said at sidebar. That's the latest. Thank you, Tess. Okay, she said, got more breaking news. Also, due to HIPAA, they cannot say who is sick, but someone on defense team is sick. Interesting.
This item is labeled with the same limbs number, 715, and the letter A. This is two pieces of clear plastic that are taped together. The longer one here on the left is labeled H, and the one on the right is labeled F, if my eyes are not failing me.
H and F as in how the fuck
This is a canister labeled
did this happen?
debris collection with the same numerical identifiers.
When would you use a canister as opposed to just putting it in a bag or a plastic bag? Is there a reason it's in a canister?
I do not know the reason behind it. I would strictly be speculating.
Thank you.
This small red piece of plastic is labeled E, as in echo. There are more small pieces of that, similar to that size, that I just showed, but...
Very well. If you can rebag that.
Tess says, one tweet I missed. Court confirms the reason court was not held today is a health issue with someone involved in the case. Okie dokie. Thank you, Tess. We appreciate it.
You mentioned there was 3 different days where Mr. Proctor found pieces of taillight at 34 Fairview. I'd like to go to that last day.
That would be the 18th, I believe, of February.
Do you have a bag?
I do.
Could you produce it, please? It's 7-16.
Yes, it is.
Do you have it?
I do.
I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
139.
Thank you.
Tess also says the Zoom was for scheduling, nothing about today.
If you could open it, please, for the jury.
Yes, sir.
You are the best. Thank you, Tess. I appreciate that so much. Because I cannot do all the things.
This one's labeled B.
Hold on a minute.
Here we have 3 red taillight pieces taped together. Appears to be mechanically fitting, labeled A, C, and D.
Wait a minute. Maybe he's going to ask. Let me just let him ask.
Typically labeled items.
No.
Do you know where those labels in the taping come from?
I believe that's from the crime lab. They identify each item according to their protocols to help them facilitate their portion of the investigation.
But wouldn't it be confusing labeling multiple parts of a taillight with the same letter?
Small clear piece of plastic labeled E as in echo. Small piece of clear plastic labeled G as in golf.
I too, hold on a second, was wondering about this. Teacup says, I've seen a couple of posts saying Karen isn't feeling well, which isn't surprising. She's been keeping it together with major health stuff for so long. I agree. I wondered if it was Karen, poor Karen.
And another tin canister labeled piece of plastic.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You earlier mentioned that the tow truck brought the defendant's Lexus to the Canton Sallyport. Do you know if there's a video depicting that arrival?
Yes, there is.
With the court's permission, I would like to play a portion of Exhibit 127.
Okay.
All right, let's see this. What you going to ask? While we wait, do your girl a favor and give me a thumbs up on the stream, would you? Or a thumbs down, whichever you feel like I deserve. Oh, before I forget, hold on a second. Let me just turn this down because we don't need to talk about this. We can see it with our eyes. ATS News has been doing some fantastic videos on Karen Reed. I don't know if I have ATS in the Nightbot, but could somebody please share her link, please, to her channel? I would appreciate it.
A tow truck from Diamond Towing arriving at Canton Police Department, followed by my personal pickup truck that we're following the vehicle in.
That video, that's before the video of being in the Sallyport?
Yes, it is.
When you were considering the physical pieces of evidence as part of your investigation, were you considering the weather conditions that night?
Yes.
When you were evaluating pieces of physical evidence that were found at 34 Fairview, were you making any assessment about their location or depth or closeness to the ground when you were evaluating them?
Yes.
And why were you considering the closeness of items to the ground?
Well, common sense will dictate that if a item is found on the grass and there's snow covering it, that it would have to have been placed prior to the snow accumulating. If an item is shoved into the snow, it will be exposed as the snow melts prior to it reaching the ground level.
I'm going to ask you to, with the court's assistant, retrieve Exhibit 85. May I approach?
Yes.
You don't have it. I'm sorry.
I can just straight across it.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. Sure. I'll bring it.
You have some questions while we wait?
I can.
You?
When you retrieved pieces of taillight on February 3rd, did you consider their location, not only where on the lawn they were, but about the depth of where they were found?
Yes, I did.
And based on the items that you found on February 3rd, how close to the ground were they?
They were on the ground, or in the instance with the hat, it was frozen almost in a solid piece to the grass blades, to the ground.
And was that significant to you, how the hat was found?
Yes, it was.
If I could have 99C. And could we now have 99D? Beneath the hat, on the left side next to the ruler, what do you see?
Yellow grass and a leaf, I believe, a brown leaf.
Was that of importance to you?
Yes, it was.
I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
I mean, also, if you're out there with a
And if you could
whole
turn the lights on and
ass
take that down,
leaf
please.
blower, you're gonna shift snow. So you know,
Thank you, sir.
give me a break. What a load of crap.
I'm approaching with exhibit 85. Could you take the item out of the bag, please, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you look at the back of the pants, please? As part of your investigation and the significance of the evidence, did you consider any debris on the back of the pants as part of your analysis?
Yes, the grass stains on the left.
Objection.
The appearance of the
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
the staining that's taken place or had taken place on these jeans was significant in the fact that it appears to be green and grass stain.
What did that suggest to you as part of your evaluation of your investigation and the decisions that you made after?
It suggests that Mr. O'Keefe impacted the grass area with his left glute, transferring green staining onto his pants.
That's a very, very clever description. Impacted. If I were to sit, which in a way would be my glutes coming into contact with the grass, and it was wet and muddy, I would also have the same stains on the backs of my pants. All that says and tells the jury at this point is that John O'Keefe was in the grass, a fact that's not in dispute.
Are you or do you know from your investigation the amount of snow that was on the ground at about 12:32:09 to 12:32:12 on January 29th of 2022?
Yes, based on my investigation and review of video from surveillance footage, it appears to be very little to a coating of snow in some areas.
I need to rewind that because I was distracted by this astute observation from the chat. If there's little to no snow on the ground when John stops moving, why would there be pieces anywhere other than the ground? You're not wrong. Let me rewind what he actually is asked and says because. All right, let's rewind this. Let me hide this comment. Here we go.
Are you or do you know from your investigation the amount of snow that was on the ground at about 12:32:09 to 12:32:12 on January 29th of 2022?
Yes, based on my investigation and review of video from surveillance footage, it appears to be very little to a coating of snow in some areas.
You could repackage that for us, please?
Yes, sir.
O'Keefe's pants?
And while you're repackaging that, Sergeant Buchanan, can I ask this? How do you surmise, which I know you're not going to be allowed to ask or answer this question just because it's speculation, but how could, if there was such a light dusting of snow that John O'Keefe got mud on his the back of his pants, how come nobody saw him when they were leaving that night? Does make you wonder.
You were asked questions about interviewing Brian Higgins,
Yes.
and you shared with us that he provided you a number of text messages between him and the defendant.
Yes.
You began to explain that you vet information during your investigation.
Yes, we do.
What did you tell him you were going to do with the messages he was giving you?
I explained to Mr. Higgins that we have in our custody and will eventually get into both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone, so that protect his integrity as a law enforcement official. I told him that the information he was providing better be true and accurate, or else he would suffer the consequences of the ulterior.
Did you, in fact, vet what he gave you?
Yes.
And before you vetted it, did he make any changes, additions, or subtractions from that information?
No, he did not.
And when you vetted that information, was there anything different from the alternative source, that being the defendant's phone, from his phone?
Not that I noticed, no.
Or that exhibit or that document has been marked for identification. I'd like to introduce it as an exhibit.
Which document?
The identification number is that?
So let me get this straight. You warned somebody about whether, if they were being honest, there would be consequences if they were not. Consequences and repercussions if they weren't honest with you. Meanwhile, Proctor is sending texts that contain the most vile things, and you say nothing. Fuck out of here.
My apologies. I'll need to look. I don't know the number offhand.
I think the clerks might have it.
It's marked for identification.
No, it's actually marked. It was EE now.
Oh, it was introduced?
It was.
I didn't realize that this has been introduced as Exhibit 150.
Are you not paying attention to the trial, Brennan? Isn't that like your only job, bro? Let me get it right for Woofy. Bruh.
As part of your investigation, did you look to see if there was any animus or difficulty between Mr. Higgins and Mr. O'Keefe prior to Mr. O'Keefe's death?
Yes.
Did you look at text message records to see if there was any motive that was evidenced in those text messages for Mr. Higgins to want to murder Mr. O'Keefe?
I did look.
May I approach?
Yes.
I handed you a document. Do you recognize that package of materials?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's the extraction printed out from Brian Higgins' phone, dated 2/3, meaning February 3rd, 2022, and it is a conversation between the defendant and Mr. Higgins.
Does it extend a number of different dates?
Yes, it does.
Did you look through those conversations or text messages to identify whether there was any animus or motive?
Yes, I did.
I move to introduce those documents as the next exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you find any?
Hold on.
132.
Thank you. Trooper Buchanan, did you find any evidence in the conversation?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Proceed.
Okay, there's a couple of points that are being made in the chat that if I don't highlight them, I would be remiss. Okay. So first one is Tess says, they let Higgins do his own extraction and then didn't do anything about when he disposed of the actual device on a military base. But sure, he was honest, Yuri. Crocheting Bammy says, just the fact he felt the need to even say that about consequences means that he was questioning their story. I think he was telling him to clean up their story. Right. If you believe somebody, you don't warn that person, hey, you better be telling me the truth. It's when you start side-eyeing and being like, this don't sound too good. This don't sound right, that you say things like that. Like when you're talking to your children and they're giving you ask them something like, what happened? And they give you a story and you interrupt that story and you say to them, don't let me find out that you're lying to me. It's because there's something about that story that ain't sitting right.
Sorry, go ahead.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. Steve.
Trooper Kenneth, when you studied the materials, the conversation, communications between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe, did you find any evidence shaping your investigation that there was a motive to harm, hurt, or murder Mr. O'Keefe by Mr. Higgins?
No, there was not.
I have no further questions at this time.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may.
Sure.
But I mean, to be fair, right? Karen Reed is charged with second-degree murder, meaning that she had no motive or reason to kill John O'Keefe. So, what the fuck? Oh my God. Here we go.
You were just asked about Brian Higgins in your interview with Brian Higgins. Where did that take place?
In Sharon at an attorney's office.
At his lawyer's house, correct?
I'm not sure if he resides there, but it was an office.
With his lawyer present, correct?
Yes.
Did you find that unusual?
Objection.
Sustained.
He wasn't under arrest, correct?
No.
You hadn't read him his rights?
No need to know.
No need to, because he wasn't in custody, right?
Correct.
He's just a witness in a case that you're investigating.
That's correct.
But he asked that you interview him in his lawyer's presence, correct?
Yes.
You were asked about any evidence of Brian Higgins having a motive to murder John O'Keefe just a few minutes ago by Mr. Brennan, right?
Yes.
And you said, no, I didn't find a motive that Brian Higgins would want to murder John O'Keefe. Is that right?
That's right.
What about a motive to confront him about a girl he was interested in? Did you see that?
Oh my God. Oh, Mr. Jackson. This is my theory. Let's see where this goes, because I didn't watch all of this yesterday. So let's see where this goes. Oh my God.
I believe the text messages speak for themselves. Everybody heard me read them out loud.
Yep, the text messages do, but I'm asking you. You were just asked about your opinion, whether or not there was a motive that you found for Brian Higgins to want to murder John O'Keefe. I'm asking you a different question. Did you, in your mind, in your opinion, after having read those texts, find a motive for Brian Higgins to perhaps want to confront John O'Keefe because of jealousy?
If you're asking for my opinion is that he would need to confront Mr. O'Keefe. Mr. O'Keefe was not the one pursuing Mr. Higgins. It was your client that was pursuing Mr. Higgins.
Okay, so, well,
Buchanan, do you understand how life works? Do you? The confrontation wouldn't actually, it would be more about confronting John O'Keefe with the evidence that Karen Reed was pursuing him. That's how life works, which I suspect you know. Stop playing with these people.
messages 100% speak for themselves. You'll agree that to show that there was a mutual interest, right? It just wasn't one-sided.
At times there was flattering text messages from both sides, but your client reached out to him first.
Right. I mean, somebody's got to reach out, right? Everybody's got to reach out to somebody. First, someone's got to do it first, right?
Well, it depends.
Doesn't mean that there's not mutual affection for one another. Is that right? Or at least perceived mutual affection.
I don't understand the question.
Did you see in those text messages, in your mind, a motive?
What do you mean you don't understand the question? You understand that there are multiple ways of communicating nowadays, right? There's directly face to face, okay? There's over the phone conversation, voice conversation. There's FaceTime or video chatting. There's also text messages. Now, in this case, it does appear from those text messages that Karen is the one that initiated conversation with Brian Higgins. But let me make this very, very clear. Brian Higgins entertained those text messages. That's it. That's all. And actually, if you really want to get into those text messages and break those text messages down, the truth of the matter is Karen was playing. She threw out the bait. He took the bait and he was on the hook. And then when she wouldn't commit, after she pulled him out of the water, he was flopping around and he was upset. That's it. That's all.
That might lead to jealousy on the part of Brian Higgins.
No, I think Brian Higgins was pretty clear in his request for explanation of what the defendant wanted out of this, and stated that he's friends with Mr. O'Keefe. So he wanted clarity from the defendant about what was going on.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't read it to be that he was jealous, as I sit here thinking back on the content.
What about after?
Yuri, I don't know why you're playing with these people. He was. What he was upset about is that Karen would not. I don't know how another way to explain this other than the way that those text messages, some of those text messages appeared between Karen and Higgins. And it was almost as if Higgins was sort of doing a little fishing of his own, like fishing for compliments, fishing for affirmation. Why would you want affirmation, or why would you want to understand what Karen Reed's intentions were, or anybody's intentions for that matter, if you weren't interested? You know how you shut that shit down? You don't reply. That's it. That's all. He was interested. And I don't know what your problem is and why you can't just admit that.
Drinking Jameson and ginger all night long and sending a text that said, well.
Objection.
Won't you allow that?
Might that change things?
I don't know what Mr. Higgins' state of mind was. Well, could mean many different things. They could have had a face-to-face interaction, a look. We'd be strictly speculating what was intended by that, or what was the intent of communication by that text message.
After weeks of communicating with Ms. Reed in a romantic manner, and then seeing her walk in the door with John O'Keefe and sending the text message, well, after having been intoxicated, you see that, detective, as an investigator, as a reasonable, objective investigator, as a possible scenario for Brian Higgins to be jealous about John O'Keefe.
There's a possibility there, but I didn't see it.
Did you explore that possibility when you got all these text messages?
We did not follow up on that aspect based on the totality of the entire investigation.
Did you pull the tape at the waterfall and review the tape as we did here in court?
That happened, yes.
Okay. Did you see on the tape a time just before Brian Higgins left the location where he was confronted by Chris Albert?
Objection.
Change the wording.
Sure. Did you see a situation on that tape where Brian Higgins is standing and Chris Albert physically puts his hand on Brian Higgins' arm, on his left arm?
I don't have a specific memory of that.
You remember a circumstance on that tape where Brian Higgins pulled his arm away and looked past Chris Albert over toward the bar, which is where John O'Keefe was standing. Did you see that?
I do remember you pointing that out, but we couldn't tell who exactly he was looking at based on the video.
Did you see a circumstance in which Brian Higgins then put his hand on his forehead and began rubbing his forehead like this?
I don't have a memory of that.
Did you see a circumstance in which He then motioned over toward that side of the bar with his left hand.
That I remember, yes.
Did that seem realistic to you? Let me ask it a different way. Did that seem to you as a reasonable interpretation? Hey, come on outside. Or come here.
Very reasonable, since they've been invited to 34 Fairview.
Did it look, in your opinion, that that was just a, hey, let's go together? Or did it look more to you like, hey, come outside? Or let's step outside?
The totality of the investigation, the fact that when they stepped outside, there was no confrontation and they were invited to the address. Again, totality of the investigation suggests otherwise.
Let's talk about that totality of the investigation. You're aware that Brian
Yes, let's talk about that totality of the investigation. Get him, Jackson.
Higgins left first. He was the first to arrive at 34 Fairview, even before Brian Allen.
I am, yes.
And you're also aware that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed were among the last to arrive. So they didn't step outside together, right?
They didn't step outside, but once he was invited, according to your narrative, wouldn't they have a discussion outside where he was invited to come out?
So, Mr. Jackson, I just want to ask you, how much longer do you think?
Not long. I can finish this up, but if you give me probably 10 minutes.
Oh my God, Judge Bev.
The jurors are saying yes. Is it okay with all the jurors? We usually break at 4.
I don't want to overstep. I'm happy to stop now, but I think I can get it finished.
I'd like to finish with this witness and not have to bring it back again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate the accommodation. You're aware that, according to the tape, John O'Keefe left about 10 minutes after Brian Higgins, or so.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. You would agree, as a homicide investigator, not every death starts off as an intended murder, correct?
I will agree to that.
Sometimes a fight could go wrong, and you intend to fight and duke it out. Something goes wrong, something goes south, someone dies, correct?
Objection.
Is that something that you want to be on the scope? So.
Taillight pieces that were found by the CERT team. I want to ask you real quick about that. Your testimony was you recall that the CERT team found a large piece of red taillight material during their initial search. Is that correct?
That's my recollection, yes.
Okay. Did the CERT, you had a debriefing with the CERT team, correct?
Not the CERT team. I had a debrief with the members of our unit at the Canton PD conference room. I do not have a memory of the CERT team being there.
Do you recall ever being told or informed that the CERT team actually recovered maybe 5 or 6 pieces, maybe 7 pieces of small plastic material in addition to the shoe? As opposed to a large piece of red taillight?
The memory that stands out to me that I have is that there was a large piece of plastic recovered. It wasn't a shard. It was significant enough that, shown on the photograph taken by Detective Lieutenant Tully.
And do you recall that the CERT team, or were you ever informed that the CERT team found those, according to the CERT team, within inches of one another, within about a 2-foot square radius?
I don't have a memory of where they found them exactly. I wasn't there.
Okay. You were asked about the taillight. You were shown a photograph of the taillight, where almost the entirety of that lens material is missing. It's gone, correct?
Yes.
And you remember talking to Jen McCabe, originally, interviewing her within days of this incident happening, correct?
It was the 29th we interviewed.
The day.
That day, yes.
Do you remember her saying that the taillight was cracked/broken?
She communicated that over the phone to Michael Proctor, which was then documented later on in the interview report from earlier.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it was documented within the interview report.
Okay. And in that interview report, it doesn't say the entire lens cap of that taillight is gone, correct?
Correct. The report does not say that, no.
And she didn't describe that, did she?
I don't know what she described to Michael Proctor over the phone.
You pulled out a pair of jeans belonging to Mr. O'Keefe just a second ago.
Yes.
And you noted that on his, what would be his left rear pocket, there was a stain?
Yes.
You said that was an apparent grass stain, and it was green.
Based on my observation here holding them, that's what it appeared, yes. Maybe dirt, maybe other substances.
That was my question. Did you seek to analyze what that discoloration was from? or have caused that to be analyzed by the crime lab or anybody else?
The genes were processed. I don't know what their protocol is to analyze it. They process those genes. There's pieces missing from cuttings and stuff like that.
Understood. So as you sit here, you have no evidence at all that those are grass stains, correct?
Strictly my experience of knowing grass stains and observing it.
Could be dirt,
Could be.
could be oil or grease.
I don't know about that, but
They look brown. Stains look brown, don't they?
there's different parts of the stain. Some has brown, some has green, different parts of it.
Could you get, in your experience, stains on the back of pants from being dragged?
I've never dragged anybody, so from my experience, I can't tell you.
I didn't ask if you've ever dragged anybody. You've never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator, right? Did you get those stains from being dragged? It's just a common sense question.
My common sense dictates that it was not a drag mark because it would have linear characterizations, and it would be both buttocks that are engaged in contact with the ground while being dragged.
Or being dragged.
Show those
They had
pants
something
again.
in common, or being dragged at an ankle. Dragged through a crease spot that was only on the left. What about all those possibilities?
Again, my opinion, common sense dictates it was not the case.
Okay, my common sense dictates this. When a object that is motionless is hit by an object in motion, it causes the object that's motionless to then become in motion, right? But at some point, because of gravity, the object that's been hit has to stop. And it doesn't just stop abruptly. It skids to a stop. Therefore, if it was caused by John O'Keefe being struck by the vehicle, landing in the grass, it would not be an impact mark. It would look similar to a drag mark because the body lands but continues to be in a little bit of motion.
But you certainly didn't take any action to investigate forensically what those stains actually were.
I did not know.
By the way, can you lose a shoe from being dragged?
It depends. I guess you can, depending on how loose it is.
You said that there was no information that you had regarding Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe having any animosity toward each other prior to January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Coolest reviews. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, you did come in at the right time. Show those pants again.
But you did, we talked about, now let's talk about
I've been
on
good,
January
thank
29th,
you.
2022. In your experience, does drinking alcohol increase a likelihood or increase the possibility of getting into an altercation?
I would say, in my experience, in my opinion, the alcohol could become a social lubricant and exacerbate emotions. But to speak in a definitive form here, I can't.
You've heard of beer muscles. That's a common phrase, right?
Never heard that before, no.
Beer guts? You ever heard that one?
I've heard of beer gut, but not beer guts.
Having the guts to walk up to someone you might not otherwise walk up to in a bar because you've had too much to drink. Is that what beer muscles could
How
mean?
about liquid courage? You heard that
Say
one?
maybe liquid courage.
Even
There
better.
we
What is
go.
liquid
Ding,
courage?
ding, 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 ding.
Giving you courage that truly shouldn't be there.
That you might not otherwise have if you weren't drinking.
Yeah. Yes.
Can we wrap this up, Mr. Jameson?
I'm trying, Judge.
Are you kidding
I
me?
won't be much longer.
Judge Bev, we made some really important statements on redirect. Let this man finish his cross, lady. They're going to honor your AARP card down at the bar. Calm down.
You had evidence that Brian Higgins had been drinking most of the afternoon and evening that or most of the night, that evening and night, at the time that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed walked into the waterfall, correct?
I had information that Brian Higgins had returned from a police officer's funeral and then went to Waterfall after he changed clothes and took a shower.
Went to the hillside before he went to the waterfall and started drinking there, correct?
I don't have an independent memory of that, no.
But you did, at the time, you didn't pull the tape at at the time, you didn't pull the tape at CPD that we saw with Brian Higgins on the phone at 1:30 in the morning, correct? You didn't have that information.
I'm sorry, can you give me a reference? When
Sure.
at the time?
At the beginning of your investigation, January 29th, and probably the next, let's call it a couple months. You did not have that information, correct?
No, we did not.
And you didn't seek that information from CPD at that time.
No, I had no information that he went there.
Okay, and you didn't extract his phone, correct?
That's correct.
And finally, you indicated that you were asked on redirect examination, did you have any evidence that John actually went into the home? Did you ever interview Trooper Garino during the course of your investigation, anytime?
Interview him?
Talk to him about his extraction of John O'Keefe's phone and any of the data that came off of his phone.
No.
You did not realize that Trooper Garino had information that John O'Keefe took 36 steps covering a distance of some 84 feet that would have placed Mr. O'Keefe inside the residence at 12:32:16.
Objection.
16.
Did you have any information from Trooper Garino about steps that were logged on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
No, I did not.
Is that it, Mr. Jackson? You said finally, that's what I'm wondering.
Oh my God, Judge
Hang on
Bev.
just a moment.
You're
I'm trying
so-
to wrap this up. I only have a couple more things, but I may be.
Judge Bev, come on, man. You're so rude.
Finish it with
It's
my
like you
question.
got no couth.
As you sit here now, are you aware of whether or not there's evidence that John O'Keefe, the phone describes John O'Keefe's phone taking 36 steps, covering a distance of about 84 feet at 12:32 and 16 seconds on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Objection.
Can you answer that? Are you aware of that?
I am not, Your Honor.
Okay, the answer is,
The answer was?
No, I'm not aware of that.
all right. All right, thank you. Sherry, I appreciate you staying late. So, Trooper Lieutenant, we do not have.
Hold on a minute.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So,
Thank you.
folks, those same cautions, please do not discuss this case.
Yeah, Judge Bev is ready to GTFOH. Wow. Well, I'll say this. That's the last thing that the jury heard. So I think that's actually kind of good that got left with the jury overnight and all the way through to today, frankly. The uncouth that is Bev. Lord, I cannot believe her. I have absolutely never seen this happen. I mean, I've seen some rude judges. Don't get me wrong. I have seen judges who do not have couth, no home training, none of that, no etiquette, nothing. I'm thinking of the judge that's now presiding over Billy Wagner's trial. Yeah, that judge ain't got no couth and is very rude. But he's rude in the opposite way. He's rude in that he is super rude to the state. And he just lets the defense do what ifs, winks at him, shit like that. It's so gross. Anyway, yes, Neat Noodle says, do y'all think the jury notices Bev rushing the defense but not the prosecutor? Yes, I do think they notice that. I do think they do notice that. Crocheting Bammy says, will Karen be able to get a retrial again if found guilty? Well, if she's found guilty, then she would have to appeal the conviction. And she would have to be successful in her appeal in such a way that the appellate courts deem that she get a new trial. That's the only way she would get a retrial if she was found guilty, would be through the appellate courts. If this trial results in a mistrial, as did, like the first trial, I think the Commonwealth is going to retry her until the wheels fall off, to be quite honest with you. So, yeah. Yes. She would, no, she, not jail, babe. Crocheting Bammy says, poor thing would have to wait in jail that whole time. She'd have to wait in prison. That's where she would be, in prison, because, you know, they would have to wait. Yeah. And the appeals process can take, many, many years. Tess says, thankfully, there have been several appellate issues already per many lawyers. And this is the thing about that. There can be a multitude of good, winnable appellate issues. The problem is that appeals take time. And on appeal, the burden is shifted. It is no longer on the state. It is then on the defendant. The defendant, although it's not really shifted in this trial if you really think about it, but just for discussion's sake, that's how it's supposed to be. So the burden during the trial process is on the state. The burden shifts in the appeals process and is solely on the defendant. And even if there are really good, winnable issues on appeal, it still takes time to work through the appeals process. And even if there are good appeal issues, it doesn't necessarily mean that the appellate courts will see it that way. It all depends. There's no guarantees, and it's kind of scary. I'm just hoping that the jury finds her not guilty. They acquit her, because with an acquittal, she cannot be retried again for any reason. I mean, respective to this case. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for being here. I'm so glad that we got to go over yesterday's testimony. I hope whoever is not feeling well that's part of the defense team, I hope they recover quickly. I'll keep on top of it, just to make sure that there's going to be testimony tomorrow, because I don't want to do that to you guys. But yeah, thank you all for being here. If you haven't done so, would you do me a favor and give your girl a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the stream? Also, pinned at the top of the chat is the latest video respective to the shoe debate. Y'all check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for being here again. You guys have a great rest of your Tuesday afternoon, and I'll see y'all tomorrow, hopefully. All right. Bye.